Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, dear podcast listener.
Live on Facebook.
The good news is, as we wait for YouTube to come on, Schoey has welshed on his bet from last week, so we'll be discussing that on the show this week.
Headline.
I beg your pardon.
He's welshed.
I beg your pardon. Oh no, Mr.
You
Wilson.
say you've got one.
No, Mr. Wilson. I have got you at home. I've got you at home. I told you exactly. A meal for two, Indian meal, chicken tikka masala, chicken tikka madras, pillow rice, onion bhajis, and also two naan bread. And you said no, Schoey. You said we're going to the restaurant. I've come here tonight. We're off to the restaurant. And you said no, I can't make it. It's there for you. So don't be saying to me that I'm jibbing. It's there, son. It's there.
Is it?
It's there.
No, I can't go tonight, sadly. I can't.
It's there, son. It's there.
I can't go.
Yeah?
Are we live on? Are we live across the globe?
Yeah, we are.
Into the homes of how many billion people is there?
28 million people in Canada are watching tonight.
Oh,
Happy Canada Day.
Happy Canada Day.
That's all it is.
You have to wave a flag.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know the national anthem.
Or Canada. We
Neither,
should
neither,
do.
neither do the Wolfpack team.
Our home and something land,
Yeah.
native land. True patriot love in all our sons' command. Not daughters though, because they're, you know. In
Right.
glory hearts we see thee rising, true north, strong and free.
What the hell are you
Or
on
far
about?
and wide, O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. It's the Canadian national anthem. God keep our land, glorious and free.
Brian
Oh,
McDermott
Canada.
will have you in next week.
We stand on
Coach
guard
LSD.
for thee.
Listen.
O Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
Forget the Canada national anthem. I want the lads
Thank
to
you,
sing happy
to
birthday. Come on,
Sandy for
come on,
the
come on,
for
sing
the
happy birthday for the legend.
birthday donuts.
Yeah, we've bought you some donuts.
You have to happy birthday is copyright.
Is he- how old are you?
How old am I?
Yeah.
Officially,
63?
But you're not like the Queen. How old are you?
54.
54.
54. 58. Looking well. I must admit.
That's
the 30,
your opinion.
The 32's a nipping, but I'm looking. I said I'm looking well, not swell. All right. So you're singing happy birthday? You're singing happy
No,
birthday?
we're not allowed. It's
Eh?
copyrighted.
Why
It's
not?
just said
Why
that.
not?
Yeah.
It's against the law.
Yeah.
Mark, Rich, Phil. Just before we get started, I just want to say thanks to everybody. And I say the message what I put on regarding my mum from a point of view. Everybody knows. I think knows my mum from Hunslet Parkside days, and I just want to say a massive thank you because it really has picked her up from there, and she's absolutely delighted with the respect what people have shown, and she remembers. You know, giving out extra jellies and giving out extra hot dogs and extra crisps and all this sort of thing, and she was absolutely made up.
What to you?
Is that why they use it?
Yeah, that's why I'm swell. That's why I'm swell. But yeah, they say great message. You know, Chev Walker from Hunslet Parkside days, and I think he don't like the kiss off. Where he must have got man of the match every week. Did Chev? And my mum always kissed him, and also as well. Jason Robinson. Jason wants the address of the care home where mum is. He's going to send her some flowers. But to everybody, it's really picked her up, and I just want to say a huge thank you for all the great messages what you've sent her.
Yeah.
Which is why the game is so great.
That's why we call the Rugby League family. Simple as that.
It is. Sid has been on.
Already? Already?
Well,
Cost of one. Cost of one.
No.
And I tipped the black and white, so we buy 24. Is that why
well,
he's on?
he said you've said you're 54, but sadly you predicted 26.
What's that supposed to mean?
You said your predictions are rubbish.
Oh.
End off. Good evening, everyone. Nice to see a bit of sunshine. Big win for Hull Kingston Rovers at the bottom of the table. They got themselves off the bottom. Leeds then got themselves off the bottom. London back at the bottom. The legend was watching London yesterday, so we'll see what he made of that. Phil and I were at Headingley. Rich was at Wakefield. Wakefield are back in the game.
I was there as well.
Back in the game.
Punishment.
Beating Huddersfield, who sleepwalking towards the trapdoor of relegation, and we'll have a chat about what Simon Wolford said. Decent games, Warrington, St Helens. Everyone's moaning. Everyone's talking about the bottom of the league. Well, they're at the top and they put on a belting game. I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I thought, personally, St Helens, from what I saw, only saw the second half, deserved to win. I thought they were by far the better team. A bit of controversy out of that game, though, isn't it? With Mr Akawala's running style. So, yeah, we'll have a look at that. And Wigan keep on going again. Another win for them over Salford. You know when everyone laughed when Adrian Lamb went, we turned the corner when they got beat. Well, he
He's done a Brian McDermott.
he don't know what he's on about. He's done a Brian McDermott. Everyone were laughing at him, and look at them now. They're fourth. They went fourth. They're now fifth.
I think with the Wigan situation, we all have to go, you know why? Because they're going about the business nice and quietly, and nobody's talking about them. That's exactly like Wigan like it.
Are they going to make it to the top five?
They are going to make the five, and I will say now, the top four, who St Helens, Warrington, Hull and Wigan, they will stay in the 5. So now it's up to 6 sides maybe who can make that 5th spot. Wigan are making the 5.
I'm not sure at the Catalan on what we saw yesterday.
Absolutely.
What did we make of the weekend as a whole? And I mean, the 4 teams at the bottom of Super League on 14 points. It's unbelievable, isn't it?
I think the image of the week, it already has gone viral. It's been reported in Sports Illustrated in Bild in Germany. Joe Westerman on Thursday night in the Hull derby putting his own kneecap back in. Now, we like examples of why we think this is the toughest team sport in the world. People were watching that going viral.
I didn't see it at the time.
I
commentated on it, the fact that he injured himself quite badly, and then he walked off, and then he went, "Oh, I ain't got any subs," so he ran back on. And then Jack, my son, sent me the video, and it was like, "Oh, what? I don't believe that just happened."
And the most bizarre thing was he got penalised for it, didn't he?
He did.
He put the ball. Well, he used the ball to put his kneecap back in. but because he'd surrendered possession, it was a scrum where just at the time when Hull might have been mounting an attack at 12-10 down. So
is that one of the most bizarre things you've ever seen, Schoey, on a rugby field, injury wise?
Yeah, you would injury wise. I've seen when I was at Balmain, a lad called Bruce Parnell, and his kneecap went from where it should have been to the back of his leg. You know what I mean? And he walked off the field. He couldn't carry on, but he walked off the field as if to say, "Well, I can carry on, if you put a bandage on it, and whatever." But he couldn't put his back in, couldn't all Brucey. But yeah, it was. But I know Phil goes on about the duty of care to players and what have you. And really, I know they didn't have any subs, Phil, but still, should he have been still to be allowed to play on? I know it was his call, and we know subs from there, but Hull had lost the game anyway, So whether a bit of stupidity from there, but one thing for sure.
But apparently, it does happen quite a lot. He
said so a few times that it comes out, but I must say that I'm not so sure if it's because I've dislocated, I've done dislocations myself in my body and this sort of thing, and if it's dislocated, I'm not so sure that he would be able to carry. It looked like a part of the knee had come and it smashed whatever had come away from there. So I'm not so sure it's a pure dislocation, but one thing for sure, it didn't look very nice. I can reassure you. When the Sky cameras came, you know what? It was as if like there was something on his knee, like a wasp, and he's like this. And we're like, what are you doing that for? Get up and play it ball. And then when he showed you in slow motion, and half of something sticking out there, and he's whacked it. But fair play to John. Hey, one thing for sure, he's put his hand up for this week and playing St Helens. I think I might give it a miss.
Ridiculous bravery. But that will be the image that, and we talk about every week. What can the sport trade off? Really acrobatic tries, the likes of Tommy Makinson pulls out the bag. Well, if we want to sell bravery, that's exactly it.
Yeah, a great image as well from Castleford, a young man enjoying his first day at the Rugby League. Looked like he had a great time. Well done to Castleford there, and well done to everyone for getting him involved. Hopefully another lifelong Tigers fan in the making there. Win for the Tigers yesterday. Right, we'll start with the Hull derby then. Hull KR finally got their man Matt Parcell in, Sean Lunt out, and Sean Lunt injured already before he started playing for Leeds. Matt Parcell, game winner really, game breaker I thought for.
Absolutely
outstanding. But also I heard Sean Lunt, he pulled his hamstring in training by all accounts, hasn't he?
Rolled his ankle.
Well, it was a Hull KR. One of my people at Hull KR said he put his hamstring, but anyway, he's rolled his ankle. But no, Hull KR very impressive, and I said in my column today, it's a delight to see Tony Smith back. And Tony Smith's comments after the game was exactly what Rugby League's all about. He's not playing boring Rugby League. He's not playing safety first, where we've got to make sure that we can't be pushing the ball, and we've got to make sure that it's all about percentages. Absolute load of rubbish. And his comments after the game was sensational. Great to see him back, and the fact of the matter is the players love it. You can see the players play with that smile on their face. You can see the players allowed to express themselves, and I keep harping on week in and week out. And if you let the players play what they see, let them express, there'll be mistakes. There will be mistakes because that's the nature of the beast, isn't it? That's the nature of the sport. But to see Tony Smith back, the way he's got the response from the players, absolutely outstanding, and they were a pleasure to watch on Thursday night.
At the bottom of the league, which obviously we will be focusing on again because that's where the spotlight is falling, and even national radio stations are really interested in what's happening because there's so many stories there. When a team is so far ahead of the top, it isn't quite as exciting. There are
St Helens' story will come when they win the trophy,
and they are astonishing at the moment. But they are so far clear at the top that to those that don't follow the sport avidly, it's not as much of a story. But there are 3 teams stuck on 14 points whose coaches and players seem to be starting to express themselves. Hull KR are the absolute epitome of it at the moment. Richard Agar's comments after Leeds won yesterday, very much the same. We're actually excited about the position that they're in. We think we can be better. London, all right, they had a blip yesterday, but the 3 games before, Danny Ward is clearly a guy that says to his players, just go out and play. I need you to be the best you can be. There's one of those teams that is incredibly inhibited at the moment. The exact reverse of what you were saying about Tony Smith, a coach that's come into a post-match press conference who clearly looks despondent. Who looks at his team at the moment and thinks, I just don't even know where points are coming from. I've got guys there that can play, but they're clearly not playing. And I think you're right that Tony Smith, great to have him back. He's getting the kind of players that he wants. Combinations that will try things. The Ben Crooks try. It's just brilliant. 2 fantastic pieces of skill. The break itself and his ability to pick up a ball millimetres from the ground and Tony Smith encourages that kind of thing in training. It's not an accident. I think the teams that are going to get out of this spot are the ones that play their way out of it.
You see, also, like one player there on Thursday night for OKR, he had his best game for 4 years for me. Araki. He was superb. He was absolutely sensational.
Mossy Massoy was really disappointing in everything
we all know. Cause
but he can make a mistake, but he played. I need you to do this, and he did it.
They're all human beings, because they are going to make mistakes, but they're enjoying because what they know they're going to do, they start to play what he's encouraging. They know there's going to be mistakes, but they work harder off the ball. You see their message, 1 minute to tackle, but they don't have a problem with that. And my messages on Thursday night on the phone were going ballistic for my Leeds fans, my Leeds mates and my Leeds fans. What's Garbutt and Maguire and Parcell doing playing? Even Araki, playing for Leeds is sensational at this moment in time. And I said, well, listen, that's gone. But what we've got to do is admire what them OKR players are doing now, and also to the response and the trust and the confidence what Tony Smith is giving his players, and say, listen, go out and play. We know at times that may not work out for us, but boy, oh boy, that will work out more, 85% of what it will do negatively.
And I think that's the whole thing with the Parcell signing, that they needed somebody to give them some dynamism out of dummy half. They didn't feel as though they had that as part of their game. I think he brought 3 guys in on loan who have athleticism about them. So they're not getting game time at Warrington at the moment, but he knows exactly what Livett can do. He can bring energy. Johnson's just a big guy that keeps going forward. And he's changing that way Hull KR plays, playing to their strengths. Parcell was so good because of his clear relationship with Maguire. The 2 of them fed off each other. They were both the sum of the parts. Made the whole greater. So it's really interesting at the moment, and I think the biggest signing that we could have had amongst any of those teams at the bottom might just be Tony Smith.
Yeah, I don't like the idea that all those players that Hull KR have got from Leeds would have improved Leeds. Hull KR have got how many points this season?
Same as Leeds.
I
think it's more to do with the environment that you play in, and you can be a great player at one club, you can be not so effective at another, because it is all about relationships. And at Hull KR, the building, they know what they need, and it's not about players that they've got from other clubs. It's about putting them in an environment where they can thrive. They've got Quinlan, who's fast out of the back now. They've got some brains with Maguire in the middle. You would desperately hope he's fit for the remainder of the season, if it is going to be his last 9 games. They've got Parcell, who interacts brilliantly with Maguire. I think Lawler is a great player. I think of all the kids that they've tried, I think he to me looks like a Tony Smith sort of a guy that's going to bleed his heart out in the cause. They won't win every game between now and the end of the season, but I think they'll win enough of the key games to keep them up.
I tell you what, they were an absolute pleasure to watch. They were, and people then have said about the black and whites again. Same as London yesterday. For the black and whites on Thursday night, bad day at the office. He won't dwell on it. It's gone. Yeah, the bragging rights are there for 6-8 months or until the next time they play from there. Bad day at the office. Don't dwell on it. We'll move on.
The shame for Hull is that lack of consistency.
Looks just tired to me. Short turnaround from
a very hot period.
That combination with Sneed and Connor don't work at half-back.
They missed Kelly, didn't they?
Yeah, absolutely. Missed him massively. And also as well, the fact of the matter is, not that the whole team missed him, but Jake Connor misses Albert Kelly as well.
Well, you made a good point there that we've all clamoured for Connor to be a stand-off and nearer the ball, but again, it's about that balance in the team. He didn't look happy.
Wasn't comfortable at all. Wasn't comfortable one little bit. But take over away from OKR, they were outstanding. Outstanding.
Yeah.
I think we got back to Danny Houghton making far too many tackles again. That the workload had been spread a little bit more. He wasn't having to play the full 80 minutes. That looked to me like this guy's doing too much in the middle of the field.
But maybe that was because his team weren't doing enough around him. You know what I
Well,
mean?
that's what I'm saying. If the team had been
I thought they were
sharing
poor.
the load.
Yeah, I thought they were poor. And the best team won. Hull KR win. I think we all went for Hull, so we all got that one wrong.
Great crowd as well. I mean, I know,
Good atmosphere as well.
I know the distance travelled on a Thursday night is exactly why those sort of fixtures should be the ones, but over 10,000 was sensation.
Yeah, that was good. Everyone
Absolutely
stayed till the end as well.
I tell you what, the game at Leeds a week of Friday is going to be absolutely mouthwatering.
Tony Smith's return.
Mouthwatering.
It is
Leeds
indeed.
Hull KR.
We'll have a look at that. What's happening on social media? You can get in touch on Twitter at Forty20 Live. You can get in touch through YouTube.
That's the
through
same day
Facebook.
Wakefield play Cass, isn't it? The Leeds Hull KR game.
Oh, is it? Okay.
And Saints Wigan.
I'm going to go watch the hilarious derby. You can all go watch Leeds and Hull KR relegation extravaganza. What's happening on social media? Are we going to have a celebration for Independence Day? That's one of our American listeners, which I've now lost the thing. That's
If they want to send us donuts, yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
We can be bought. Don't worry about that. This show can be bought. Very cheap.
We'll wear anything if
we
you want to send it in.
Yeah.
Roy said Hull KR played well against the team that had played 5 days earlier.
Yeah, but so had London the week before, and they managed to win on a Thursday night, funnily enough, against Hull KR.
Yeah.
They'd been in Perpignan 5 days before.
They had. It's a tough turnaround though. That
It is.
I think it is a tough
Absolutely.
turnaround.
It's ridiculous.
Kevin's listening in Canada.
Good evening,
Hello, Canada.
Happy Canada
Good evening,
Day.
Canada.
David says London had a blip film, not Cass playing well then.
We haven't mentioned London.
We'll talk about him in a bit. The legend was there. We'll get his expert opinion.
Tim says Rovers wanted it much, much more. Jake Connor not very good at standoff.
Fair assessment. Can't argue with that, really. Can't argue.
Nicholas has invited us all to go live in Canada apart from Schoey because he won't get let in.
It's a bit harsh.
Why
It's
wouldn't
a bit
I?
harsh. Why wouldn't you get in,
Why
Ledge?
would I get?
No undesirables.
No,
No
listen,
undesirables. That's fair enough. Can't argue
I'm
with
only
that.
one of the half a dozen that's been a good boy in Belial.
Graham says it's Yorkshire Day.
I'll blame somebody else.
We're already accused of being Yorkshire biasing off Graham without that. You know, Lancashire Day in November or something. Why would you have it in the middle of winter?
It sums up Lancaster.
Yeah, exactly.
Derek's listening in Afghanistan. Hello,
Good evening,
Afghanistan.
Derek.
Send us a flag.
Our man Danny Parkinson's been to
I
Afghanistan.
know, I saw him, yeah.
You see that?
Yeah.
I remember when he used to dress up as a
I
penguin,
know,
that
the
lad.
hat on,
Now he's like with the army in
yeah,
Afghanistan.
he's gone places.
Yeah.
We've
He'll
just
be,
gone to North
he'll be shaking hand with Donald Trump soon, won't he? He'll be
I
between
don't
that
know.
Kim and Trump, won't he? Soon, will Danny?
Where have I to
It's how he moves. What's happening on YouTube?
On YouTube, people saying are Catalans in free fall. Well, the Catalans have got too many points.
Well, Wakey were the crisis club last week, but are they going to build at the new ground? Are they going to build a statue of Tyler Randell for his hat trick?
Possibly.
What do you mean possibly?
I've got
an hat
We've
trick.
got a statue of Neil Fox. Yeah, but we are Rugby League. We do like to overestimate the abilities of people, don't we? Just after one game or whatever.
What are you saying? He were rubbish.
No, it was a good hat trick.
Are you happy? Are you happy?
Yeah,
today,
great.
or?
Because Huddersfield are rubbish, aren't they? So that was hilarious.
I think we said a couple of weeks ago that we thought 20 points was the threshold for safety. So the Dragons are safe, but safe isn't good enough for a team that won the Cup last year and recruited to be a top 5 team. They look at anything but a top 5 team.
What do we make of the Guijot, however you want to say it? He's rejected a new deal, apparently.
I suspect that they'll come back with a higher offer because certainly they missed him yesterday. They didn't have an X factor.
We'll have a chat about Catalans in a bit. I think, look, we get accused of being Yorkshire biased, but when I look at the bottom of the table, barring London, it is quite Yorkshire heavy. So that's where we need to go.
Yeah, exactly.
We will pay credit to the teams at the top. Well, certainly St Helens after their big win at the weekend, all but getting their hands on the league leaders' shield. Right, Huddersfield. I said a few weeks ago when they lost at Cass, I thought they were in trouble because they played well and lost, and that always worries me when you play well and lose as a team. I'd rather play rubbish and get battered.
Yeah.
Well, they have been rubbish the last 3 weeks, and they have got battered the last 3 weeks. I think they conceded 38, 38 and 36.
Yeah.
We'll start off with you two because you were there. We'll get the Wakey bit out of the way. Are we happy with where Wakey played?
Yeah, especially the second half where they nilled Huddersfield. As Chris Chester said in the press conference afterwards, Danny Brough said to him, we were getting nothing back. Huddersfield were giving nothing back, so you can't really argue with that nice hat trick from Randall. Trying to think what else happened on the game. Danny Brough got injured and went off.
How did Bill Tupu do?
Yeah, he did all right and he's come back. You always worried, aren't you, that first time they run with the ball? He was fine. Good performance. I think as Chester had said in the weeks leading up to the game that they were still creating chances, just not taking them. And the concern would be if they hadn't taken the chances. Some people would say in some of those games, like the one against Leeds, They weren't very good, but they won, and that's the main thing when you're in a fight. And I'm not necessarily sure they were really in.
Well, they would have been if they'd have lost. They would have been if they'd have lost.
And that's all. You just win. All you have to do is win, and they won the game. So now you can move on and look at what's coming up next and see where the next points are coming from, and try and move further away from the bottom. But it's a nice gap, and because you've got 4 teams who are all on the same number of points, they've all got to battle each other, haven't they?
Yeah.
You can kind of look from the outside and think, another win here, another win there.
Well, I think that's Phil's point about 20 points. They're not all going to get to 20. Some of them might, but they're not all going to get to 20.
So Wakefield effectively need one more win.
Yeah.
But the feeling from the Wakefield camp at the end was pure relief.
Yeah.
I think they just needed to stop that losing run. They feasted on mistakes. I think a number of the tries, particularly in the second half, Huddersfield trying to run out of their own 40-metre area, losing the ball. And that's what you need to do. You need to be a little bit ruthless. Tupu was great in the sense that he just gave them some presence that they haven't had for the last 12 weeks. And yes, clearly by the end he was blowing and couldn't quite latch on to a pass that would have given him a try that would have marked his comeback. But no, they had enough. They didn't have to be brilliant, which again would be a really worrying thing from a Huddersfield point of view. But the second half they dominated. They took the chances. The worry for me was just the body language of everybody associated with the Giants, epitomised by their coach. I mean, I think we've all been in the presence of Simon Woolford, victory or defeat. He didn't go over the top about their brilliant display at Magic Weekend when they put 50 odd on Hull. But he said that seems like 5 years ago.
Well, that was their last win, wasn't it?
But it's only 4 weeks ago. And something. There's a serious lack of leadership in the team. I think we talk about. We try to be open and honest, and we wouldn't criticise anybody just for the sake of criticising it. But sometimes now, 2/3 of the way into a season, you can look at the impact an overseas player has had or hasn't had in this case, and I just feel Matt Thrall has lost his way a little bit. You'll no doubt talk about how Jordan Abdul played for London, and there are some days when the star men just can't get it together no matter what they do. Well, Gaskill was like that on Friday night. The more that he tried to do, the worse his night got, kicking out on the full, not finding passes that he was looking for. The young players are doing all right. The senior brothers were fine on the wings, but I just don't see any direction in Huddersfield at the moment.
Schoey, they're struggling, aren't they? Huddersfield, big time. They got a Salford on Thursday. They're in the Wakey territory. They need a win, and they need a win now. Yeah,
they do, and they won't get it. They won't get it at Salford now on Thursday. So, and whoever they play next week, I don't really know. But
they've got a run of fixtures coming up that could be coming at exactly the wrong time, because they have got the likes of Hull and Leeds on the horizon.
Yeah. Well, it's a massive problem. But also as well, listening and hearing regarding Simon Woolford, to be honest with you, and that now will be going in the dressing room, because to me it sounds as though Simon Woolford's fed up. He's fed up.
Well, he was fed up after they lost at Cass, because he said, "Look, we've won the game 3 times.
Exactly. So
we don't have to win it again."
Absolutely. So that was 3 weeks ago. So now it's getting even worse for himself. So now he's thinking from a point of view: what more can I do with these players? What more can I give them? To go out there for performance. And all right, nobody's going to get a perfect 80-minute performance, but they're not performing for longer minutes to a decent standard, where not only can they win games, but try and stay in games. And his body language is not there. He's fed up, and he's under pressure. There's no doubt about it. He's under pressure.
What the last 3 weeks have done, you mentioned it earlier, points difference, minus 107. They were in positive. I think they were nearly positive 3 weeks ago. Now they're minus 107. They're on the slide. They're on the slide big time.
I think the other thing is that particularly Australian coaches pride themselves first and foremost on defence, and I think he'll spend a lot of time teaching defence during the week in training. The second 40 minutes, they were awful.
What struck me after the game in the press conference, it was very much like the David Ferner one. Was it after Wakefield or London? I can't remember.
London.
After London. The famous rattled press conference. No one had the guts to ask him if he was rattled.
Well, you were there. Why didn't you ask him?
Because Simon Wolford's got a reputation of beating people up. So,
was he going to beat you up?
Yeah, maybe. So,
well, that'd have been good. Why didn't you do that?
Yeah, it would have been good.
Might have got a few more views of his video.
That and Joe Weston would have been valuable.
Yeah. Well, here's one of a kneecap being knocked into place, and here's one of someone being kneecapped.
The only problem though is the only person showing any fight at Huddersfield is the coach rather than the players. But it did strike me. What was strange afterwards at the end of the press conference, the coach just buggers off, doesn't he? Out of the room. He sat there for a couple of minutes, and we're all just.
We've asked our questions.
Didn't you go and offer him a hug and see if he was all right?
No, not really. They've got media managers to do that these days. It was like.
But what did they do? I think
what can they do?
The question I asked in the press conference was that all of the teams around them seem to be making personnel changes. Yes. Be that loan signings, sometimes if you haven't got room on the salary cap, and we believe that Huddersfield are one of those teams that are virtually at the top, you try.
Which then begs the question: where the hell is their salary cap being spent?
But then you try and do some wheeling and dealing. A couple of their players won't be there next year, so maybe you try and move them on a bit early and bring somebody in who you can work with. Hull KR have done that brilliantly. Leeds have started doing that. So I asked him, was he planning on doing anything? Because sometimes just a fresh face at training, or somebody who perhaps can be looked at by the other players. Go, if he's prepared to come here at this situation, we'll get behind him. Nothing. As far as Simon Woolford is concerned, Huddersfield are not in the market.
Does it not strike you that, I think we mentioned this last week, certainly mentioned it at the weekend, we've seen history repeating itself here.
Yeah,
Rick Stone came in, team struggles, does well short term, year after struggles, gets sacked. Woolford comes in, team instantly improves, year after struggles. I'm hoping to hell he's not going to get sacked, but the problem is there. And I think people are starting to notice something we've said for a long time at Huddersfield. Their recruitment is awful, absolutely awful, and that you cannot look away from that. You look at the quality of players that have left that club, and then you look at what they've got in, and it's not even comparable. I'm sorry, but it's not even comparable. And the young kids are doing all right.
Yeah, I get that Joe Walton's a big loss for them. And that was a good piece of business on the eve of the season, I think, for Huddersfield, that they needed him back and he felt comfortable at the club. But I can't see who's going to dig them out the hole. You look at the other clubs that are around them and you go, yeah, well, if he plays, they can play to him, like you were saying about Matt Parcell at Hull KR, maybe Robert Louis at Leeds. Who is going to galvanise Huddersfield? They haven't got a Danny Brough there anymore who can say, all right, lads, I'll make sure we play in the right part of the field, I'll kick the important goals on. One of the reasons Wakefield won was they remorselessly kicked penalties in the first half. It was incredibly boring, but they needed to do it.
Yeah, but it was all about winning. No one will look back at that result. How did they play that day?
And as soon as they'd established a buffer, they could play a bit, and they did.
Yeah, Huddersfield got to Salford on Thursday, then they're at home to Catalan, away at Hull KR, at home to Leeds. Those are their next 4 games. So
that will determine if they are in the mire.
I would say they need to win at least 2 of those games. And then even then, you could beat Salford and Catalan and lose to Hull KR and Leeds, and you're going to be in the same position.
Well, they won't beat Salford, and Leeds a bit of a turnaround, and they won't beat Hull KR. So Catalans, it depends how they turn up.
I think the problem for them is just scoring points at the moment, because you quite rightly say they're conceding too many. They are, but that's because when they have any period at all with the ball in their hand, they can't seem to.
This is a team that scored 55 against Hull.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
It's an amazing turnaround, but I think we said maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago that there'll be a team that, where we were at that point in the season, will get caught up in all of this because they'll go on a slide that they can't stop, and that could be Huddersfield on what we saw on Friday.
Well, I'll tell you what as well for Simon Woolford, because down the years, Ken Davey hasn't been a sackable. He's not been a sackable chairman. He has over the last few years. And I reckon.
Yeah, but here's a question, Gary.
Who?
Why is he sacking? Why is he
sacking
the coach?
I agree.
The coach hasn't signed the coach hasn't signed that squad.
I agree.
There's one consistent factor. And it's Richard Dewey. You look at who he's signed, and the signings are not good enough. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, but also as well, it's like at Hull KR now. They're signing players who's associated with an agent. Exactly the same at Huddersfield, associated with an agent.
I think the issue for Huddersfield is if they did sack Simon Woolford, which they shouldn't, it clearly.
I agree. I don't want any coach sacks.
Not
I don't
his
but
fault.
Ken Davies not being a sackable chairman, and what's happened in a few years, Ken, maybe 2, maximum 3 games, if not. He might look to
but the
decide
thing
to
is,
change again. And I agree with you. It's the players. It's the players.
But who do you get? The only person they could possibly get for the situation that they're in at the moment, who is available, who could start work the next day, would be Sean Way. He's still got those players.
Sean Way won't go.
No, but I'm just saying, if you're Ken Davey and you're going, okay, well, Simon's got to go now, which would be the wrong thing to do in my opinion.
I agree, totally.
You only do that if you know who could come in, and in a short term, at the very least, you're looking at 9 games. Do you a job? And that
why would Sean Way?
Well, no, maybe.
But why would he be? He just come back from a grand final winning coach.
Well,
go
exactly.
to a relegation
maybe
battle.
he wouldn't be in. But what I'm saying is, if you can. We never thought that Hull KR would get Tony Smith. He wasn't on the radar. But if you can and you've got 9 games, and if you lose your £2 million that you're going to get of central funding for being in Super League, you might say to Sean Wayne, I'll give you a hefty bonus if you keep us up. Sean might say, I like a challenge, 9 games, I'll see 9 cup finals, I'll see what I can do. But it seems to me they're in a rut. I don't know how they get out of it.
No, I don't. It's worrying times for the Huddersfield Giants there on the slide. What's social media times?
Sid, who's been on form on social media over the last few days. Well done,
I
Sid.
think you are Sid.
I'm not Sid.
Sid tweets a lot of things that you say to
I know, but I don't say it publicly, do I?
I shouldn't have said that. People are looking at his tweets now going, what's Richard been
Yeah,
saying?
I fully agree with it. Sid says it's Canada Day, but for logistical reasons, the celebration has been moved to Manchester.
Hey!
Very good. Very
Upset
good.
Sandy.
We're in Leeds now.
Danny's listening.
Danny who?
Danny Parkinson.
Is he Afghanistan, Danny
Yeah, that'd be
Parkinson?
2 people now in Afghanistan.
We're
We'll be
massive.
top of the podcast.
Download
charts
the
in
podcast,
Afghanistan.
lads. Download the podcast. Nice to see you well, anyway.
Are we big anywhere this week, by the way?
I don't know.
Mexico last week.
We heard
Right,
from
the
our
beach.
Mexico listener.
Yeah.
We know who he is. We found him. We should send him some goods.
So it's like one listener puts you right up at the top of the podcast.
Well, maybe
charts,
more
isn't
than
it?
that, but you know, I don't imagine the Rugby League demand in Mexico is that big, really. But you know,
I'd be
we're
surprised.
good. We're good. We're good.
I've got the Man of Steel, but I think that's embargoed till 7. So I
Oh, all right, okay.
But I sent it early, which is very trustworthy of the Rugby League.
Well,
media.
we sent it late last week, didn't we?
Yeah. Oh, let's have a look. Were you doing the Castleford game yesterday, Schoey?
No.
Or were you just there?
I didn't do a game this week.
All right, who would have got the man of the match at Castleford?
We
then?
can't reveal it yet, but
Who would have got the man of the match?
My man of the match.
Yeah,
we'll reveal it at 7
we'll
o'clock.
see how good this is.
Yeah. Do you know who it was?
No, don't.
I would have
No.
said Matt Meakin 3,
Right.
Okay.
ranking 2. And to be honest with you, he wasn't bad yesterday. Truman won.
All right.
We'll find out.
We'll find out how good you are. Yeah, we'll find out.
I'll tell you how good I am.
Well, you
the
will.
best.
Yeah.
But sadly, your opinion means nothing.
Catalan by 14. That's how good he is.
Yeah.
Hold
Give me
on,
a game.
13 I said. Hey up, we've won, have we? We've won,
I've
have we?
not said a word.
We've won, have we?
I think we were talking
So
about your
all because the
predictions.
Catalans
Your
are crap,
predictions
though.
didn't win.
Only because Catalans are crap and they've got the worst scrum half in Super League in Matty Smith. There you go.
Harsh, but true.
We're going to clip that bit out.
They're doing their own show on social media. Toby's asked which team who could be relegated from Super League offers the least to the competition. So people are deciding to
All right.
discuss that.
Right.
Uh,
I always like it when you get tagged in someone else's argument.
Oh.
You put your phone, you got about 3 million notifications, none of which you think, right, okay, yeah. fair enough.
Stephen's happy because Tino Arona and Jordan Crown have extended their deals at
Yeah.
Wakefield.
Very
Might have
good.
some more transferring.
But
as well.
Craig Hubie has been released
He
by
has.
mutual consent.
Yeah, well, I think he's played about 10 minutes this season or something.
Where will he go, do you think?
I feel sorry for Craig, you know, because I
He can do-
don't ever believe he wanted to leave Cass, but he didn't get the deal he wanted. He went to Huddersfield, and for whatever reason, and you know,
No, I'll tell you, he got
more
greedy. He got
publicised.
greedy. He got
Well,
greedy.
did he get greedy, or did
Yeah.
he just want
No,
what
he-
it was worth? Because
No,
how can
he
you
got
say he got
greedy.
greedy?
He got greedy.
Because
He
he
got
went
greedy.
and he got the money. So how, is that greed?
Well, do you know what? At the time,
If someone thinks you're worth it, you're
Right,
worth it.
well, let me tell you this then. At the time he was at Cass Hubie, he wasn't far off knocking on the door for international level.
Yeah.
Wasn't far off. If he'd have said at Cass, he would have
Well,
maybe.
he had a really good year. Didn't he? Didn't he?
Yeah,
Fracture
he
his
did
kneecap.
his knee the season before, so
Yeah.
12 months out from there. But that season there, well, the season after, he was knocking on the door for England call up. But then that formed from there, and he got greedy. He took the big money to Huddersfield, and after 2 years, they realised he wasn't good enough and got shut of him. It's his own fault. It's his own fault.
Lovely offload game.
As I know, money's not always the answer. Don't worry about that, son.
I'm not sure that's the full story. Then we don't need to get into the full story. But it's sad he's had to leave because of injury. Hopefully he gets the
I just think he's got something.
Has he got retired then with injury? Or is he
Not
No,
yet.
he's
No.
officially retired.
Alright.
because when he does,
He's going to become a chef in the
Is he?
I got told, yeah.
When he
He'll
was
be a
at his
chef.
peak, he reminded me a little bit of Lee Crooks.
Oh, yeah, good ball skills.
His lovely ball
Yeah,
handling,
yeah,
prop
yeah.
forward.
When he was allowed to express it, he had some ball. I tell you, he wasn't far off knocking on the door for England. Spot on the.
Well,
front
Castleford
row.
waited for him for the 2014 Cup final, didn't they? Because
Did his elbow.
Yeah,
didn't
his
he?
elbow.
in the
yeah.
end they picked him and he wasn't
Yeah.
fit and it
Yeah.
backfired.
When any average player does retire though these days, they will get a tweet from the RFL. Not that Craig Hubie's an average player, I want to point that out.
Or retired.
But the average ones will
All right.
be busy. in
You
the
all right?
RFL. Yeah, the RFL social media department will be busy, won't they? Cynic agrees. Everyone's talking about.
Oh,
American.
me and Sid. Yeah, me and Sid. Sid and me. Yeah, I reckon he's your imaginary friend.
That's a different one, you know that. Toby says the Mexico Magpies are starting in 2021. Has anyone told Ralph? Do you know?
Do they want a coach?
Yeah.
I'm available.
Are they going to buy from?
I'm available.
League? What, they're going to buy South West?
I'm available for Mexico. Is that far enough for you lads? For me to go? One-way ticket?
Yeah, go with that. Yeah. We'll start a whip round now. We're setting up a GoFundMe page.
Just giving.
There's been certain controversial ones recently that got a lot of money, so we might get a few quid.
Yeah, I've got the Blackpool players on the table of tat today. They're in a kind of post-match prayer formation.
All right, okay.
So
You see, we've got some Leeds Rhinos on our table of tat now. Oh,
Have they been there for ages?
I've just killed someone on the podcast.
Leeds Rhinos Cup.
Yeah, we've got a Leeds Rhinos Cup. Do they do these at Wakefield?
No. But of course, that's the only cup Leeds are going to get this season.
Hey! Even like the House of Commons.
Order. Order, Mr. Shawright. If you say any more comments like that, you will write that out 200 times, Mr. Shawright.
I presume
you must write that out. I will not disrespect the Rhinos when they win 200 times, Mr. Shawright.
I presume you're not including the women PDRL or the wheelchair in that.
Leeds men. It's the big semi-final this week.
Well, and the wheelchair guys made the Challenge Cup final.
Beat Halifax in there or something.
Who had never been beaten in the competition.
Can't trust me, always winning something.
By the way, what cup was that they played for the other night at Hull?
Clive Sullivan Trophy.
Well, you know what? In special commemoration of Clive,
I didn't know which trophy it was.
in special commemoration of Clive, his road was shut on the way out, so I wasn't happy about that.
Right.
It took me ages to get home.
Yeah, I didn't know. I thought, is it Roger Millwall trophy? Is that what he was?
No, that's against Castle. It was last season. He had that terrible trophy.
Yeah.
You're in trouble for.
And is that played over 2 games then?
Three.
Three.
Oh,
So it's not aggregate, is it?
Yeah.
Right, well, they'll beat twice, anyway. Right, okay.
Fair enough.
Toby says get all your money on Warrington to win the grand final because Schoey says they can't win it.
They can't win it.
That is as good a reason as any. Yeah. But they can't beat St Helens at the minute, can they?
Warrington can't win the grand final because St Helens are going to get there, so they can't beat them. Simple as that.
It's not there.
If wanted to win the grand final, take it all 3 out for a Kerry.
All right. You heard it here first.
Is that double or quits for you?
I have to say,
I'm collecting this time.
we mention this virtually every week, but another thing did strike me on Friday when Richard and I were at the palace that is Bellevue, that we couldn't be part of that Warrington St Helens game. That there were 14,000 people there, that all the social media was full of what a magnificent atmosphere it was, how well Warrington had done to sell the game, the 3,000 St Helens fans who bought tickets, it came over as being the absolute epitome of what we're trying to get Super League to be.
No, it's not what we want. It's not what we want.
And we couldn't be part of it. It doesn't matter that what we were watching. It's just that
it's just annoying.
It's
isn't it?
really
just
frustrating.
No, it's just annoying.
It's really annoying.
We don't want big crowds and people trying to hype games up. That's Ian Simpson of St Helens viewing the world famous Rugby League and League Express mailbag. Let's give away prizes and then I'd send more letters. I was again dismayed at Mr. Sadler's gleeful praise of the way Warrington Wolves promote their games. The aeroplane banner stunt was a disgrace, deliberately designed to annoy St Helens and goad them into a backlash.
What does he think about these boxers, that slay each other and then after they're all cuddly? You know what I mean? What does he make of that?
It's called promotion.
Anyway, basically the letter is blah, 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 and more full the League Express of printing. It's a waste of space. There you go.
But it sounded, and obviously with the highlights caught up with since, it looked a magnificent game. Had everything you would want in it. Controversy.
And since I've had all the things about Wolfie on his backside crying, so it's all good fun.
But it would have been nice if we could have all joined in.
Well, look, they've got to sort that out.
They have to
sort it out
because we don't have that many promotable matches, and that was.
Yeah.
I do think, like Schoey, that. I think we said last week that was a marker game for both teams. We'd actually see if Warrington could put something down with their forwards in particular that would say next time we meet you've got something to worry about. And actually it's still the other way around. That Saints, particularly through Alex Walmsley
and Luke Thompson,
they just couldn't hold them.
Machines, absolute machines, but also as well they got a bit of a break in second half because that was a dead set forward pass. How the officials missed that, I don't know. But anyway, they got away from it. But what you saw with St Helens on Friday night, well, the patience. They didn't panic. They didn't panic one little bit. And
Can I just go back and ask you about that forward pass? It was forward. But did you see Blake Austin's attempted tackle?
Yeah.
It was like he was playing a game of off-ground Tig. It was like, Tig, you're on. It's like,
mind
what are you doing?
I want number 6 myself, so I don't mind them sort of things.
Come on.
But he was the last line of defence.
Well, yeah, but to say, but
Bodies on the line and all
I
that.
agree. I agree totally from there. But yeah, it was a shocker from there. But a different side
from a Great Britain number 6. You'd expect better.
Do me a favour. Anyway, but so no, we saw a different side to St Helens. No panic from there. Plenty of patience, and then when the quality was needed.
Did they still not waste a lot of chances though? I thought they did in that second half.
Yeah, they did. But the thing about it though, Matt, they didn't panic.
No.
They weren't panicking, you know, where at times they were always trying to play the Highland Globe sort of stuff. What they do, not saying that they play to a structure, but still they were just going through, they call it now the so-called process, you know, we'll get to a certain part of the field, we'll go through the process and then we'll strike. Yeah, they bombed a few tries, but they still managed to beat Warrington 21-10. And when you talk about an impact of players,
I think, and
Warrington,
that's why it's significant.
It's massive. And the big question was, can the forwards, or certainly can Chris Hill and Cooper match it with Walmsley and Thompson? The simple answer is no, they can't.
No, Chris Hill for 2 weeks and he's been banned.
I think as well that he flies under the radar, but Johnny Lomax is arguably a man of steel contender this year. Everybody quite rightly is talking about Lachlan Coote and the impact that he's brought to the team. I think your comment about calmness, I think that comes from the back. I think that's something, you know, when Ben Barber's there, you're what's he going to do? We don't know what he's going to do. When Coote's there, he's organising. He nearly always takes the right option. Team man, absolutely personified. But Lomax is playing superbly at the moment. Absolutely brilliant. He might even edge Austin out of the England shirt.
In a couple of weeks we won't be able to do the Man of Steel thing because they're not going to tell us who got the points. Yeah, because it's a secret now. I still don't know why they're...
Phil, you're throwing that in again with Blake Austin. St Helens kept Blake Austin very quiet, right? So I'll put it to you again, and I've said it to a few people now. And if he does get for Great Britain, then I will be ripping him. I can reassure you. Why is he good enough to play for Great Britain when he's not good enough to play for City Country in Australia? What makes him an international player?
I think the interesting question at the moment, and he may not get selected for Great Britain, he's eligible, that's all we're saying, is that Saints found a very effective way to stop him on Friday night.
Yeah, you know how you stop him? Don't take any dummies off him.
So what can
stop him?
But what can Warrington do if Blake Austin is wrapped up? Because in the big games, he is going to be targeted.
Stop Blake Austin.
Well, is it stop Blake Austin or dominate the forward pack? Because to me, in really, really big games, the forward pack have come up a bit light.
I agree. So obviously it's a little bit harder than for Blake Austin, but the simple fact is, if they're making you some decent yards, get you some decent field position, then that's where you show your class. You stop Blake Austin's from a point of view his dummies. You stop hell a lot of Blake Austin and Warrington.
As an X-factor player, you would expect in a game like that even if his forwards weren't dominating, there'd be a couple of times you'd go, wow, you know, that's why they signed. That's a marquee player.
Absolutely,
that's what he can do. And it may not have worked, but you'd have been going, can't fault Blake Austin for trying to get involved and trying to make
they didn't score a try for 75 minutes, and that was straight from the kick-off.
Yeah.
Mamo scored, didn't he?
Do you think they're really missing Stefan Ratchford more than we appreciated?
Yeah, I think they are a little bit.
No.
But
I think they are.
No.
What was? I didn't see the first half, Gary. So what were? I mean, they were on top first half. They were leading 6-0, but kicking penalties. Did you agree with all those?
No, I don't. No, I don't get into it. You know, because you look at the quality of the back line from Warrington, the wingers that get a lot of good service, all this sort of thing. So no, he's just taking that purpose away and just keep the pressure on. 2 points and 4 points, it don't make much difference.
Well, I'm going to say, you think another 18 tackles on your own line might have stopped that threat going the other way second half?
I don't buy into it. Just keep the pressure on from there, and for me it's too negative. No, don't buy into it, and it costs them. You know. And
is their big game record becoming an issue now? Is it us making more of it than it is, or is it actually an issue?
Well, the facts are there, aren't they? The facts are
there. Lost 2 finals last year.
The facts are there.
And the next big game they've got is the semi-final, where I think we're looking at their record this year in the cup, their overall record in knockout games, and you're going, I wouldn't even make Warrington favourites at the moment.
Well, they are favourites, I can assure you.
But if they don't get to Wembley, then already their season is, you know, they'd have to win a grand final to make up that season.
They're not going to win the grand final this year. No way. They can't beat St Helens. Saints are going to the grand final, and they cannot beat Saints.
I know we should be heading into this tour of everywhere that isn't Australia this autumn with the Great Britain Halfback Partnership, as predicted by Gary Schofield on this programme, if you take the whole thing, as Declan Patton and Jordan Lilly. But Daniel says, we're missing Kevin Brown, miles better than Patton. A couple of people saying Deck Patton perhaps not.
What do you reckon? Because you were a bit of a champion of his when he first broke through. Is he now that he's got the shirt virtually unchallenged until Kevin Brown might come back? Is he doing enough?
No, he's not doing enough. Again, I saw the standoff at Cassie Truman. You know, at times he looked all right with the ball in hand, but he's just not doing enough. Again, he's just standing back and waiting for the last tackle, and Declan Patton's doing the same. What Declan Patton should be told, and also to Blake Austin, like, I know myself when I was playing at halfback, I'd say, listen, you get yourself on for 6 or 7 minutes, I'm not interested. So they've got to have that trust and confidence to give him where he can organise, but it's not happening. So all he's doing is just waiting and waiting on the last tackle, and they're just kicking the ball in the air. Just no effectiveness whatsoever. So that's the coach's fault, and also too his halfback partner for not putting the trust and the confidence in the partner on the side of him. It is simple. Simple to sort out.
Will Gareth Widdop make the difference next year?
Well, you'd like to think so, wouldn't you? But the problem is with Gareth, it's simple. Injury prone. I wouldn't trust that shoulder. At all. 2 major operations.
He can always stand there and slap it back in. Like Joe Westman.
Adam says, didn't everyone say Warrington could have beat Saints last year, and what would happen in the semi?
Yeah, fair dues. Didn't win the final though, did they?
Hilariously, I've seen somebody already break the embargo on the Man of Steel thing.
Who was it? Name him.
Red V. They've done it. Maybe they don't count as proper journals.
Oh dear.
Usually it's like the Times who do it. Is it it was the Man of Steel award, wasn't it? That was a classic. The podcast charts are out. We did all right last week. We've been in the charts in Ireland.
Alright.
So big in Ireland this week.
Let's get to Ireland. Let's get on the Guinness. Let's get to Ireland.
This is Ireland, Brazil. What's going on?
It's his birthday. Let's have a special edition for my birthday. 50th birthday in Dublin.
Let's get on the Guinness. 15 pints on the Guinness.
That's just him warming up.
And then a few James.
You'll be under the bed after 3.
Guinness is good. Guinness is good for you.
Yeah, that's what Schoey tells himself.
That's the excitement of the charts this week. We're in Ireland.
We're in Ireland.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
Excellent.
Brilliant.
Excellent. So we've spoken about Hull KR, then they beat Hull. We've spoken about
Wigan. And I know you mentioned that they're off the radar a little bit, but nobody will want to play Wigan once they're in the top 5 playoffs.
No, not at all. And that, credit to them, like you said about Adrian Lamb. I think a few went, they lost, and he said they played all right, they've turned a corner. Well, they've done all right. I think a lot of people I know said judge them after this run of games when they're playing teams outside the top 5, and that run has been very lucrative, hasn't it, for them? They've pulled the points. They've got consistency, but we say that despite that, they're still only in on points difference.
Yeah.
This is not like they're running away with it. And the law of averages would say, well, if they've just played a load of games, easier games, then they've got some tougher games to come. They've got Hull KR at home, then they go to St Helens. They're at home to Wakefield, away at Hull, home to Hull KR again. Got Warrington at home, away at Wakefield, Catalan and Cass.
It's ridiculous with 9 games of the season to go. They're playing 2 teams twice.
No, but that's across the board. Everyone's the same.
Ridiculous,
it's silly, really. And especially from a fan's point of view. I went there the other week, so I'm not going to go again. It is silly, isn't it? Or I've seen that game before. I don't want to watch it again.
Well, not only seen it before. I saw it 4 weeks ago. It's ridiculous.
See, again, when we talk about marketing, promoting the game, how can you when it's happening so many times? It just loses its purpose and its impact.
I agree,
doesn't it?
And it should be, if everyone had to play everyone in the last, so many rounds, that'd be the last 10 or 11 games were against 11 different teams. That would give you a fair reflection of where everyone was at.
Isn't that how the loop fixtures used to be? It was home and away, and then the extra ones were tagged on to the end.
Yeah. They're all in a block at the end.
Well, maybe it should be home and away, loop fixtures in the middle, then home, then the reverse fixtures at the end. I don't know, just thinking.
But I think, again, they've gone from a negative points difference to a positive.
Yeah, that could be crucial.
Yeah, and I think that's telling you about the things that they've got right over the last 3 or 4 weeks. They've got slightly more settled team as well. It looks as though some futures that are quite important to them for next year are going to be publicly sorted out and announced in the not too distant. That it will be admitted that George Williams is going to Cumbria. That will come as a surprise to everybody.
Am I right?
And that his replacement will be Jackson Hastings.
Yeah, who's got the same agent as Adrian Lamb, is that right?
That's true. Who will also be announced probably
at the same time. Who'd have thought it?
It's almost as if it comes as a package.
Why are we agents?
Yeah.
You can still do radio shows and stuff, I understand.
Yeah.
Make some money on the side as well.
Is that because they're all associated to the Sydney Roosters?
But I think they, as Gary said at the beginning, they are stealthily creeping under the radar.
They are.
And 2 or 3 weeks ago, we were saying, one loss and they're dropping into the relegation pack.
Well, they would have been.
A couple of wins
They would have
now,
been.
and we're already fearing for teams above them once it comes down to the playoffs. And I think that is a credit to Adrian because he had a hell of a lot to deal with this year, some of which hasn't even been on the field. They've resolved the Taulima Tautau issue. He's
gone.
He's now retired.
Has he retired? Is that him done?
Yeah.
Why didn't the other lads that failed retire?
But
I'll get kicked out.
there are questions to be asked about consistency of that. But I think as a group of players and a coach, you just want to clear the decks, don't you? You want to know exactly where you stand with everybody and you move on.
We don't want to talk about consistency of
Do we not?
rugby league and off-field issues now.
Okay, we'll move on.
Because it goes.
Any off-field issues in particular that we're not talking about?
No.
Oh.
Just in general.
What league were we talking? Were we talking Super League, Championship?
No, you could be like a player who's been banned from the NRL and seemingly banned from Super League for one thing, and then a player who's, we've said it before, has been guilty of the same offence in the past. He's still allowed to play. Odd world.
Oh, I thought you were talking about paying players. Sorry.
Oh no! Well, that was the joke on Facebook. That's what the title of today's programme is: "Have we been paid yet?" But no, I'll do a Dane Chisholm and just make up lots of. Well, not make up lots of things.
Well, I haven't made it up.
I'll spread lots of scurrilous rumours without actually coming out and saying it, despite the fact he obviously knows what he's saying. You can say what you want if you've got the.
If it's right.
Yeah. If you have lent someone money because they haven't been paid, and you know they haven't been paid, tell them. Don't just leave it hanging so people from other clubs who've got nothing to do with it.
You're actually damaging other clubs. Yeah, you are. I would agree with that.
Bradford, Sheffield, and Wakefield, in a sense, in their chairman coming out and denying it, have all had to come out and make statements.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Because you didn't have the balls to say it yourself.
I better not tell you how much money I'm owed.
You what?
Better not tell you how much money I'm owed.
Good to see that Keithley bringing in Phil Lardner's going well, isn't it?
Well, you seem almost disappointed. Rich.
Well, might as well just kick these people.
Well, I have to say as well, Workington sacking Leon Price has worked out really well for them as well.
Well, I say, Lingard.
Halifax,
What's
gone well.
Sacking Craig Lingard, what the sacking for? A joke.
No, I agree. I'm not.
If we're dipping into League One for one minute, and this is the kind of programme where we're eclectic enough to jump from one to the other.
Yeah.
Hats off to Newcastle.
Yeah.
Not for beating Workington, but for getting a crowd of 1,077.
Yeah.
Again, that is showing that they really are building something there.
Yeah.
You look at that is almost double every other attendance in that division, and yet we.
See, in fairness, they did sack their coach, and they're now only 2 points off the top. So maybe it worked.
They did it after two games. I think the quality of coach and director of rugby they got in was a little bit like Toronto.
And I'm also looking at the fact that Missy Talapapa got a hat-trick at the weekend.
So he's a quality player as well.
He's a good player.
He's a quality player still as well.
Absolutely. I think also, while we're on attendances, they were really good in the quarter-final of the 1895 Cup, even though those games were played in midweek. Quite a few of them were up there with the championship attendances in a normal week. So there is something about that cup that if they get it right, the format right, when those ties are played, the closer we get to the attraction of Wembley, how exciting that is for the fans.
What's the draw for the semi-final?
Lee and Widnes.
Right.
And
Batley and Sheffield.
Sheffield and Batley.
So Lee and Sheffield final.
They're going to be playing
that's my prediction.
28th of July, both on the Our League app.
Yeah.
Lee Sheffield final for me.
Which again, if you're talking about enhancing Wembley, great to have both those sets of fans walking down Wembley way. Sheffield, obviously bringing back the joy of 1998. Lee obviously have a history.
Leeds is 71 now.
History and a tradition.
So
brilliant.
21 years is a legit anniversary as well to bring out a special kit if they did get to Wembley.
Brilliant.
Well, there you go.
Brilliant.
More things on League
Although
One.
don't rule out Batley.
Well, indeed, can't rule out the biscuits. In a moment, more stuff from League One that Mark's pointing out to me. But first, I'm interested to see what the viewing figures were this week for Coventry Doncaster on the Our League app. Seeing as people were leaking out figures this week for whatever reason that was.
Yeah, I want to know why people do that and on what basis they do that.
The interesting thing about that figure was it was Keithley and London Scholars, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Is that a good number then? Or is that an exceptional number that all the other ones before have been rubbish? or where does that stand? Because we don't know any of the other numbers. Because no one
Or
tells
does
us.
it stand out the fact that because there were no other games, because that was on a Saturday,
It was on a Saturday.
that more people might have actually watched it
Why
rather
did
than
that-
when it's on when all the other games
Why
are
did
on.
that number come out? And
And no
do
one
we
knew
need
there
to be
was it.
celebrating it?
Yeah.
Why? Disappointing news from Cumbria, which could bugger up the World Cup, certainly in Cumbria, is the fact that the council aren't going to build this new stadium.
They've not back planning permission, haven't they?
Oh, right.
At work.
Reversed it.
Have they?
Is it 3
Yeah.
games?
Why?
that they
What
held
have
there
they
or
done that?
something?
Why
Yeah,
have they done that?
I
Do
think
we know?
cost. I think there's been after the local elections there was a change in council, and
Ah.
I think
So promises meant to get in.
some of the projects
of-
that were
Right,
on the books are now being revalued. And
Who'd
Who'd
have thought
Politics,
that?
who'd
Who'd
have
have
thought?
thought it?
Politics,
Who'd have
eh?
thought it?
Well, I'm going to Cumbria myself this weekend, boys. I've been invited by Whitehaven, the hotel where I stay up in Whitehaven. They're the main sponsors this week, so the directors and the
that'd be a good
sponsors are getting
game.
looked after me. So I'm looking forward to a few.
Top
I've
two.
come a few quiet ones on Saturday night and then a massive day on Sunday. So if I'm a little bit ropey next Monday, lads, can you understand?
Count them in and
Possible.
Top two as well. Whitehaven Oldham. It should be. A
Oh,
great
it should be
game.
an absolute
Should be.
cracker.
You'll be taking a big bag with you, won't you?
Absolute. Without a doubt.
What to wear on the way back?
No, I won't be. He might be listening. The hotel manager might be listening. No, I'm not.
I was going to
Did
say
they do
that.
dressing games?
Yeah, sure.
To say something about
Actually,
Cumbria, I can't
I don't think
remember.
where you stay, there'll be complimentary dressing gowns, will there?
Yeah.
Slippers.
Minibar.
Yeah, actually,
Not unless you're
empty-
sleeping. Not unless you're
empty
sleeping
minibar.
in the wrong room.
actually, the hotel they call it the Chase Hotel. So
All right.
yeah.
Do they pay for adverts on this show? Do they?
Well, I'll ask him.
Is that because they chase you when they realise what's not there?
Alan and Fiona? Yeah. Normally it's £60 a night to stay. When I leave, it's about 300.
It's normally £60 a night. Yeah, you've got to leave a 500 deposit.
The problem for Cumbria is, of course, talking about the World Cup and not just the fact that they obviously need more modern stadiums. I know where I'm from, we've got 2 crap stadia. The World Cup is not being held in places like the Mobile Rocket Stadium or old-fashioned Rugby League grounds. It's being
Where
held
would you
in
rather go? The Mobile Rocket or the Emirates?
Yeah.
Tell us now.
So, unfortunately, for Cumbria, they're going to miss out on this World Cup.
Yeah.
So we're not going to take it anywhere else. We're not going to take a game at Workington. I'm not going to take a
It
game at
doesn't
Whitehaven.
fit in. It doesn't fit in with the rest of the stadiums they're using. They're using modern,
Yeah.
genuine. This is a World Cup.
Yeah,
That's looking
but
forward.
to be honest with you,
That's the problem.
listen. To be honest with you, the Cumbrians don't go to watch Rugby League because of the stadiums. They go because they're seeing
unfortunately,
national quality, international
But
Rugby League.
unfortunately-
That's what they turn out for, and
unfortunately,
they'll sell out. It's
the
been
World
proven.
Cup, the World Cup. Is
Well, they've
not
got it
aiming-
wrong. They've got it wrong.
The
Then
World
they've
Cup's
got
not
it wrong
aiming at
because
those
they will
people.
sell out. Wherever they get playing, whether it's at Workington or Whitehaven or even at Barrow,
What's the
they will
what's
sell
the
out.
capacity at Workington these
I think it's
days?
8,000.
So-
Same at Whitehaven.
Which is what they got.
That's what when
That's what they got in
England
2013.
played Cumbria there and 18 apiece, it would have sell out
There's
8,000 people.
There's no.
People will go watch it.
There's no doubting the passion of the Cumbrian people for rugby league, but unfortunately, they haven't got a stadium that can hold a World Cup game in 2021.
Yeah. That's
That's
simple
not.
as that.
That's not the people of Cumbria's fault. That's the politicians and the decision makers. Where's this Northern powerhouse? Where's it going? Dennis Metz might leave Newcastle, but he might not.
Yeah, that's so. Is he only under contract till the end of the season? Then is he?
Well, read this now.
It's our friend Ross.
Short-term deal.
Right.
So yes.
I think if he got them promoted, he might be tempted to stay
Yeah.
because he knows he's got.
Well, they're
the
a
back
game
of
off
there.
the top. They're a game behind Whitehaven, aren't they? And they've got a better points difference.
And the two
Win.
above are playing each other, so if they were to win at Hunslet, which again would be a great game, 3rd against 4th,
Yeah, it'll be a cracking game. Not Sunday.
It's
a top four
Whitehaven,
playing
it's a big weekend in League One.
Yeah, it'll be a
It
cracking
is.
game.
It is.
I think the I don't know. I think the issue with League One is they need some certainty about what the future holds for that division. That you can see why some teams are clamouring to get out of it, because I still think that the word from we discussed it a bit last week. The unsaid word is that if the television deal that comes in 2021 isn't to the level it is at the moment, League One or half of League One as it currently exists is in real jeopardy. Which is going to make the end of this year really exciting, possibly for the wrong reasons. But
Yeah.
I think Dennis would stay if he's got a backer like Seymour Curdy, who I think if his team were in the Championship
Should we not be
prepared
saying?
to throw some money
Should
at.
Robert Elson not be saying to Seymour Curdy, right? Mr. Curdy, you clearly have got a lot of money. You've got a team in the Gallagher Premiership.
Well, he hasn't, because they've been relegated, haven't they?
But my point is, they'll get the money. That means they'll go straight back up. We all know that's how it
now
works,
is a very good time to be speaking to him, because his rugby union team isn't.
But do we say to him, right, you want a team in Super League in 2021? We want a team in Newcastle. We're happy to have you in. It's £3 million, Mr. Curdy. Write us a check out and you're in. It's as simple as that. Why don't they do that?
Well, the only RFL have sent out a tweet. Look at this. Let me go back. You know, I was talking about average players that they like to load these days. Look at this. Hang on, I've got to scroll back down. Happy birthday to Great Britain Rugby League legend at Gary Schofield 6 OBE. 30 tries in 40 games for Great Britain.
31.
31
tries in 50 games.
Should have been.
30 tries in 46 games.
31.
I'll tweet him back and say 30. He says 30.
So the legend said it's 31.
Just 31.
Well, I'll tweet him back.
Which one have they missed off?
31.
So you can give us, it's gone 7 o'clock, the Man of Steel.
Thank you very much to the RFL anyway for that tweet.
That's nice, isn't it?
Thank you very much.
At least they're bothered about it.
Fully appreciate
I
it.
told him probably right.
My mate Nige sent me a birthday message.
Did he?
Nige, he invited me to the game.
Nige?
Unfortunately,
Might have been busy at the weekend, Nige, because, you know.
It was a Bradford game. He was invited there.
Oh, was it Bradford? Was it yesterday?
Back from Singapore.
That's convenient.
In his
That's
new
convenient.
suit.
He was at the Warrington game as well on Friday. He was in the Big Fog as well. Adam was sat with him.
Was he wearing a new suit? Because he'd been to
Yeah,
Singapore.
the boys are looking well. I'll be seeing them in the next couple of weeks.
I've got some.
bet you will.
I've got some signs.
Hey, invite Big Nige. We're playing golf Friday. Invite Big Nige. He likes the game of golf.
Does he?
Yeah, he does.
No, but we want to win. It's crap.
No, he's not. He's not the worst.
Is that right?
He's not the worst.
I need to put an appeal out to everyone who is not watching rugby on Sunday to come watch
Cheers,
Wakefield
bud.
versus Castleford and support Wakefield, because Castleford, as is their wont to do, being uppity
Oh, yeah.
upstarts in
Birthday
my.
cake.
Oh, here he is.
Here we go. Here we go.
Here we
Just
go.
because
we
they're
go.
any good,
Stand back.
just because they're any good, just because Castleford are any good and winning all the games.
We're here.
Oh, it's birthday.
Buns. We're here. Birthday
Fantastic.
buns.
They say they're going to
Birthday
bring
buns.
1,000 Castleford fans to Bellevue next week, the Mobile Rocket Stadium, they look to take it over.
Michael Carter will be rubbing
say
his
yeah.
hands in glee.
Yeah, come on.
Eh?
What's that way?
Yeah, all the Cass fans
1,000
coming over, yeah.
women's fans for Cass
Feel
for
free to come
Yeah.
over.
the
Nice
semi-final. Happy birthday.
Are we singing happy birthday now? Now we've got
No.
the cakes.
No, we're not.
Cass
No.
have signed someone as well, and I need to go on their Twitter to find out who it was, because I've forgotten.
Cass for who, ladies?
No, Castleford men.
Ooh.
They're not so good team in Castleford, of course, as we know. Women's results, by the way, while I find them. Another big day of Super League action. Full page in the League Weekly, so well done to them. Cass won at Fev, although if you listen to the podcast this morning, you know that was a nightmare to find out the score. 46-20, 8 different try scorers for Cass. Saints beat York 60 points to 6. Wakefield lost to Wigan 44-6. And Leeds Rhinos beat Bradford 18-6 on the Rhinos. So it's the semi-finals this week. Wakefield Cass and Saints versus Leeds in the Challenge Shield semi-finals. I've got no idea when the final for this is going to be played, but Featherton take on the Army. It'll be a battle. And Barrow versus York. Good luck to everyone. They haven't said who the game is on the app this week, but Castle signed George Griffin from Salford. I think they're going to be doing a lot more business this week as well, so keep your eyes out.
All right, in what respect?
I don't know.
What position do you think they'll be signing a player?
I don't know. I've no idea. I'm just making it up. I like all these other people on the internet. They sign all these players.
I thought you just done a Dane Chisholm then.
No, I've no idea. Steve
Very nice
Prescott,
buns,
Man of Steel top threes.
All right.
Yes,
Well, we'll
yes.
start actually with Cass, because obviously Schoey, I don't know if we
Who
gave
did
it
you say,
away.
Matt Meakin?
Schoey did well.
Matt Meakin, Rankin, and
and-
Truman.
Well, 2 out of 3, as
As
old
Meatloaf said.
Old back thing.
Yeah. You
Yeah.
know why that
Have
bun
you,
off
have
your
you
face?
two been crooning that up? You've been waiting for that?
No, you.
Two
Well,
out
how
of
did
three.
we? You give us the answer.
McMeekin, Rankin, Milner got the 1 point.
Milner.
Leeds Runners versus Catalan Dragons, 3 points. Sam Cassiano, no. 3 points. Adam Cuthbertson, great day for Cuthbert.
Yeah, played well.
He
Rolled
was-
back the years
It was
yesterday.
brilliant.
2 points. Sam Tompkins, you remember him. 1 point. Conrad Hurrell. Wigan versus Salford.
I wouldn't have agreed with that.
Me
Oh.
neither. But
Here we are. All Wigan players in the top 3. George Williams 3 points. Liam Marshall 2. Jackson Hastings 1.
Oh, picking up Phil Clark.
Oh, that's a bit harsh. Whiting versus St Helens. Johnny Lomas got the 3. Alex Walmsley and Tommy Makinson. Wakefield Huddersfield. Tyler Randall.
Build him a statue, Carter.
Ryan Hampshire. who's Ryan Hampshire's the pound shop Liam Watts, because whereas Liam Watts' dad writes League Express, Ryan Hampshire's dad writes on Facebook to try and get a new deal. 1 point for Jake and Miller. And Hull KR versus Hull FC, 3 points from Matt Parcell, 2 points from Mossy Masoi.
I can't believe I didn't back
And
him
one
with
for Danny
Ryan Match
Houghton.
Parcel. It was so obvious.
1 point for who?
Danny Houghton.
Not Wella Haraki.
No.
Or Danny Maguire.
No.
Interesting.
Leeds, isn't it? It's all Leeds.
Anything else happening?
No.
Anyone else you want to offend before we
No,
carry on?
interesting TV viewer wise last week. State of Origin just short of 40,000 on Sunday morning. Less than the wrestling, but more than the
You
Super.
thought we would have got more than that.
Yeah,
wouldn't you?
more than whatever the Super Rugby's called these days.
But the ability to sell out a 60,000 stadium in Perth is something, again, that as a whole sport we could be saying, how could we use this brand of Origin to further the sport? And in 5 years' time, we want a game played in London.
Phil, there's no point talking about that because they're not going to do it. They're not going to do it.
Why? If they made enough money out of it, they would.
Well, hold on then.
Don't you remember when they took a State of Origin game
Phil,
to
hold on,
California?
hold on. I'm talking about promotion here and marketing. We were supposed to do this after the sensational World Cup in 2013. This has left a legacy. Now we're going to build his own legacy. What are we doing about it? Absolutely sod all.
Yeah.
Why don't you have a
Absolutely
word with your
sod
mate?
all.
Big Night, he's in
Absolutely
charge of
sod
it.
all.
Come on, let's see you get stuck. Ring him up now. We'll get stuck in. We'll have it on loudspeaker. Come on, get ripped in.
Before on to charge.
So I've got his number. Do you want me to ring him up for you? I've got his number.
I should say, people get
It's part of the
upset.
international game now, and I'm trying to get on the
Yeah,
international
but
scene.
What, for your 50th cap?
To
That's
Singapore.
a bit harsh. That's a bit harsh. You know it hurts. It hurts.
He wants to
Yeah,
be in a
well-
hotel in Singapore seeing what
Why,
they've got.
why wasn't that game against the rest of the world classed as when Mick Sullivan's game in France was just exactly the same? I'll get 50. Don't worry. Somehow.
4020. We don't miss an opportunity to go back over old records. Just in terms of viewing figures, I know people get upset and they're going, "Oh, the viewing figures are rubbish at the minute," or whatever. Super. I can't remember which was the Super League. It ought to be the Saints game, wasn't it? The Saints Leeds game last week was the top Super League game, 89,600 on the Friday night. But if you look at Sky's viewing figures at the moment, and main events obviously where they put the main things on, hence the name. Out of football season, nothing's been watched. The Cricket World Cup, which is going on at the minute, England's game against Sri Lanka, 289,000. The French Grand Prix, 282. So there's nothing much for where we are as a sport. We are the most watched thing on Sky last week, outside of the Cricket World Cup and Grand Prix.
Should
So that's
we?
not bad. That's not
Should
bad.
we be concerned that 3 of Toronto's games have been dropped by Sky?
I should be.
No. Well,
Yeah. Skin. Hashtag skin.
but seriously, is that an issue?
Hashtag just give
Well,
it.
no.
Could we not just
I
move
don't
the
know.
kick-off times?
Well,
so that,
they said that they couldn't do that. Their statement said that they looked at that and it was impossible.
yes,
Who dropped them? Toronto or Sky dropped them?
Sky.
No, Toronto have. Toronto pay for it, don't they? So they've said
But-
we're not doing it.
We're not doing it because you're putting them on at the same time as Catalan games, so we get no people watching. But they're still being seen in Canada, aren't they?
Not these 3 games, apparently.
No.
She's odd.
Mm.
Just costs them a lot of money to do.
But they didn't know before that.
Not that I get all that money, I hasten to add.
Come on, I think we've waited long enough for Super Leeds. Super Leeds.
What? I thought we talked about Leeds at the start.
Yeah, we're not doing these this week.
We're not in crisis anymore.
Yeah, we'll be the judge.
Paul says, travelling past the Olympic Stadium yesterday when the Major League Baseball was on, crowd of around 60,000 with large numbers of Americans attending. Origin game in London would be a sellout.
Would.
All the Origin needs, right, is someone with a guts to make them an
It needs
offer that gets them over
it
and then
needs
sell
a-
it out.
it
They
needs
would,
a
it'd be
promoter.
like the NFL. It'd
Absolutely.
sell out.
Yeah,
You
they
would
would.
sell it out because
Right.
everyone would go just to say I've been.
On two counts, you sell out. A, if you gave us a 3 or 4 years' notice, because I think you can really build up to it. But I think the other thing is that we have seen with other sports that if you plant a seed, everybody makes money out of it. There is no way you can't make money, and that there is going to be one game. The middle Origin is going to be going to different locations until the new Sydney Stadium is built. So they had a brilliant time in Perth. 60-odd thousand
Are they
sellout.
going to Adelaide next year as well?
We'll go to Adelaide next year.
Yeah.
If you were to come to London in 3 or 4 years' time, we've just got a new television deal. We go to Sky and say, look, as part of the television deal, you'll have Origin in London, a bit like NFL games coming over here. You'll be the broadcaster of that. You say to the expat community, you really, this is going to be oversubscribed. The cricket between, was it India and Pakistan in the World Cup, was at Old Trafford. It can only hold, what, 30,000, I think? 800,000 ticket applications.
Yeah.
800,000.
I thought it was a million.
Were you one at Headingley the other day, were you?
No.
Because there were reports of a bloke with a ladder letting in fans over the wall at Headingley for a fiver each. I thought that's got Schoey written all over it, that has.
No, with my cousin.
Here you come, fellas, fiver in.
What a five? I told him £7.5 with my cousin.
Well, it was a tenner really, but he said he'd give me half if I didn't tell you. So there you go. But yeah, how good's that? See, that's entrepreneurial. That is.
Of course it is.
So walking down Headingley with your step lamps.
Absolutely.
Where you going, mate? Where you going, mate?
Just window cleaning.
Window cleaning. You haven't got a bucket. Oh yeah, I've left it.
I'm the best DIY man in Headingley. Here we go. Off you go.
I might do that when they play Lancashire. It's sold out. Might get more than a fiver.
Sell your Ashes tickets and buy a ladder.
Yeah. See, that's it. You see, that's thinking. That's management thinking. That is.
It was 150 average ticket price for the baseball. Say Sandy, thanks to the Timbits, Sandy.
Yeah.
Happy Canada Day.
You just can't see
Whose
it.
is this hip flask, by the way? Where's this
It's
come
mine. I've
from?
had it ages. I just brought it in the
A
other week.
Super League hip flask.
Yeah, I bought it on eBay years ago.
Is that winning?
I dread to think where that's been.
Whose was it? That's the thing. Yeah, average ticket for the baseball, 150 quid. 2 foot long hot
Yeah, and it's
dog,
sold out.
£24.
Sold out.
And where was that played at?
London
West
Stadium,
Ham.
West Ham, yeah.
Oh, did
So-
it?
West
so-
Ham,
It's an
innit?
excuse when they lose at the start of the season.
So we know that the Tottenham Stadium is looking for events. That's one of the reasons why it's been built.
Of course it has.
It's got the special.
So if you were to sell them the idea of state of origin, why wouldn't they come? Why wouldn't it be a sellout?
Yeah,
Why
I
wouldn't
agree.
sponsors
I agree.
come on? And nothing's new. 1987, I think they invented a fourth state of origin game and took it to Long Beach in California.
And you bring over all their commentary team, you bring over all their legends, it sells itself.
You have a dinner with the
sells
legends
itself.
of origin.
And a dinner with the Queenslanders, a dinner with the New South Wales people. How many New South Wales and Queenslanders are in London or around that?
Or even
sell it.
have one dinner in Manchester, one dinner in Leeds, and then
Well,
go down to London for the game.
English people go, wouldn't they? You know, just to meet the legends of their game. It's an
And the
absolute
spin-off it
no-brainer.
has for everybody.
Correct.
The NRL would do it if it made the money.
Well, it would make money, wouldn't it?
I'm sure they would adjust their fixture list because they have buy rounds anyway to make sure that the players flying back weren't inconvenienced.
Yeah.
We would have an event that we could sell, that we could say, look, this is rugby league. Doesn't matter that it's 2 states in Australia. It's rugby league in the same way that. Does anybody care who the NFL teams that come over and play?
No,
They
sells
buy
out,
tickets.
sells out.
And the amount of merchandise you can sell off the back of it.
And the NRL
Which we
want to
don't
spread
do it.
their brand.
What would you be, Phil?
If I-
Maroon or a blue?
I'm a maroon.
A maroon?
Died in a wool maroon.
Oh, do me a favour.
Yeah, but you're not a real
It's
one.
gotta
You
be
don't
a
say
blue.
Monroe.
What are you, Mark? Are you maroons or blues?
Yeah, Queensland.
What are you, Rich?
No, I'm with Schoey. I'm with
Yeah,
blue.
gotta be a blue.
Don't know why.
Surely.
Why?
Don't know why.
You got a play. You got a maroons playing shirt.
Do me a favour. Jeez.
They can't speak properly Australian stuff.
Eh?
Maroon, debut.
Gotta be a
Going
blue.
on.
Gotta be a blue.
It's happening on social media.
Canadians.
Canadian? What, a state Canadian?
Seriously, I love a state Canadian. Speaking of merchandise, obviously, as I mentioned, if you go to the baseball this weekend, you've been able to buy any old tat with baseball on. Likewise, when the NFL's here, they have a big shop, don't they? They have a massive superstore full of NFL tat.
Tat?
Can we buy a Great Britain shirt yet?
Don't know.
A Hummel.
We
Great
must
Britain
know what
shirt.
it looks like. They've got polo shirts, we've seen them. Well, speaking of Great Britain, just because he's reminding me, John Wells, who some people don't like on the telly, mainly people who work at Leeds Rhinos, but he made a point in the pre-match of the Old Derby about Wayne Bennett, who was over here, overpaid and over here, some would say, not me. He was over here for the England meet-up, Great Britain, whatever it was, press conference. But while he was here, on his little trip to Great Britain, he did a bit of
coaching.
bit of coaching, bit of what's the word I'm looking for? Consultancy at a certain club, of which there is a certain director of rugby from the Rugby Football League, and a certain director of rugby in the Leeds Rhinos may well be the same person.
I think you may find he went to 2 clubs.
Where else did he go?
Not
Oh, is that for the Dame Chisholm?
not at liberty to say.
Oh.
But
But he wasn't-
no,
he
I
wasn't
think
Castleford.
what he said was
He
while
wasn't
he
Castleford.
was here, he wanted to get involved and see some coaching. Now, what level he got involved at, I don't know. But it
Well,
said, according to Richard Agar,
he might as well have run the
he got involved with video sessions.
Yeah.
But while he was here, he wanted to apparently observe and input.
Same
While
old.
he, and 2 clubs allowed him to do that. One of which he happened to be staying very close to, which he also knows the director of rugby at. And another
Isn't
one,
it,
another one on the other side.
Can we
of the
not get them
Pennines.
done on the on
Is that
some kind of
coaching
rule
salary?
breach?
Yes,
I'm amazed that Super League didn't issue a statement saying he's over here trying to poach our players and coach one of our clubs that isn't in our cabal. But maybe he was at another club that is in the cabal. I don't know.
Which was the other club?
It's the other side of the Pennines, apparently.
We knew it wasn't Castleford anyway.
They didn't
John
win though
Lawson.
this week, did they?
They did.
Oh, they did win.
They did win this week.
That was down to 2 then.
Yeah. Is it Wigan or Warrington?
So St Helens.
I'll tell you what.
What it was.
Oh yeah,
He
sorry,
better-
St. Helens.
he better get to
Sorry.
he better get to Catalans pretty quickly.
Wayne Bennett's got a good wrestling with that Adrian Ham, hasn't he? From their Queensland days. I don't know, I'm doing the typical rugby league thing of adding 2 and 2 and making 500. Which is what we're doing with viewing figures, I think.
Do we need to talk about
Only
Catalan?
500.
Let's not talk about Leeds.
No, we don't want to talk about Leeds.
Nobody wants to
It's
talk
game
about
on!
Leeds.
With
It's
no
game on,
reason,
says
with
Richard Agar.
no reason to talk about Leeds
No,
because they're on a roll.
But do we need to
They
talk
are on a roll. Don't worry about that, boys.
The
They're
only,
on a
thing,
roll.
the only thing that was rolling yesterday at Edinburgh was Matty Smith's grubber kit. That'd still be rolling now if I hadn't have hit the Carnegie stand or whatever, the Emerald stand, whatever it's called
last scene heading toward Kirk?
now. It was an absolute Barry Crocker. He had a shocker again yesterday.
It's game on. The boys are buying in. We've still got our best football to play, said Richard Agar, stopping short of saying, we're going to win the league. It's on.
Hey,
it's
hey,
on. Leeds
he
win the
did.
grand final.
He did yesterday in his presser mention if you who knows if you win 3 or 4 games. He said that, didn't he?
Just imagine
he
it.
said, and he's like face lit up, and I thought, no,
win
come
it
on,
from
Richard.
win it from.
I like you, Richard, but not that much.
Leeds win the grand final. It's on.
What's the odds? Check the odds.
Who would we want to lose the most?
A Catalan in. I mean, they've got to the 20-point mark. We said obviously they're not going to be involved in the relegation scrap. But how do they turn it around? Because yes, I know they had 3 or 4 key players missing. One of whose might be in a contract.
Who
dispute.
turned it around? Catalans.
How do they turn it around?
Well, I'll tell you one reason why they turn it around. They get rid of Matty Smith. They drop Matty Smith now. Simple as that. He's not good enough, and he's too slow. His purpose is too slow. Everything about him.
He was actually a
is
bit
too
better
slow.
yesterday, and he was still poor.
A bit better.
No, he was a bit. He was 4 out of 10 rather than 3.
Sam Cassiano isn't a starting player either, is he?
Sam Cassiano
Bought for
threw
his
the
impact.
worst pass in Super League history on
Well, to be
Sunday.
honest with you,
The worst
Briscoe
pass.
said it's the best pass he's ever received.
No.
Yeah,
Well, it's the first time. It's the first time anyone
First time
ever
he's
saw
nice
it
and clear.
to him.
Yeah, seen a decent ball early.
Nice early
Get
ball.
on the
and
end
off
of
he
this.
goes. But,
But, did you
You
get
know,
the-
as soon as he threw everyone in the ground, went Briscoe's going to catch that. He's going to. Oh, he scored.
Did you get the impression that, I mean, Cassiano blocked a grubber through, picked up the ball, and could have looked for the nearest defender and just taken the tackle, but I think he looked up and saw 85 metres ahead of him,
Oh, he
hailed a taxi, didn't come, so threw out a pass.
You know, and it bounced out. Like you said, it hit him. His big hand. It just like stuck in his hand, and he thought, right. And your first instinct, right? I'm going to run as far as I can.
Yeah.
And he looked up and he went, nah. And then he looks in front of him and thought, that 20-yard line's about 8 yards. I sod it off.
yeah, I saw
It
it.
was
Yeah,
absolutely
yeah,
awful.
I saw it on the highlights.
Honestly, it was like,
Still
what
the
are
big
you doing?
Still the big Wally Lewis. But look, my question to that is then: did he get the hook? Did he get the hook off?
No.
If that had been, if that
No,
would
he did shortly after.
well,
He
if
did.
that, if
yeah,
that
but he
had been-
would
if
have
that had
got
been-
that
if
anyway.
If that would have been an English player, they'd have got the hook straight away.
Well, it was awful.
Oh no, I saw it.
My worry for Catalan is that their strength has been their forwards. They had 4 big forwards on the bench, and you thought, yeah, when they start rotating them round, that'll have an impact on the game, but it didn't.
But Phil,
Not really.
what about the creativity though? It's
Well,
non-existent.
the missing Gigo was, I mean, that X factor just wasn't there.
That
Sam
3
Tompkins
times.
The signing
Sam
of
Tompkins
Matty
was their
Smith has
best
been
player.
an absolute
3
disaster.
times on the first tackle, 20 metres out from the line, they lost the ball on the first tackle.
Well, it's not acceptable.
And that was with Samus.
I remember when I played, my coach used to just stand on the sideline screaming, "It's the first tackle!" That was like watching the Dragons.
Well, there was one scrum at the end of the first half, and Lange hit the shoulder of the.
Yeah,
the
he had
lead
everyone
runner.
on one side of the scrum, and he runs in, throws it straight at his mate, knocks it on the floor. It's like, what are you doing? What are you doing?
Great Leeds halfbacks of our time. Ben Walker.
He's a good goal kicker.
I remember, because you remember incidents in matches that are otherwise nondescript. I couldn't remember the score, and I've had to Google this. Leeds 52, Wakefield 22, 19th of April 2002. Ben Walker passed a wonderful assist to Wakefield's George Truelove, who played 2 games for Wakefield, and he went under the sticks, and we still lost. But it was a great pass from Ben Walker. Noble and Millward handed Origin jobs.
I tell you, when you talk about the rubbish number 6s Leeds have had over the years, you talk about the kid that Leeds signed after me, Clark. Is it Dean Clark? Dean Clark.
New Zealand international.
Absolute
Dean Clark.
rubbish, absolute garbage. Ben Walker, garbage, and then we've just signed him, let him go after 18 games. Lola here, absolute garbage. Garbage.
So there are recruitment issues in history.
Well, can I just pick up on
how
something?
did he play for Salford, by the way? I don't know. We don't know.
Can I just pick
Ian
up
Watson talked him up, but
on something that our good friend John Davison wrote on his excellent Patreon column,
which people should subscribe to.
Plenty of people are doing apparently. So
if you want long considered journalism, that is the place.
It is good. But he wrote an article, I think he called it "We've Got to Talk About Kevin," and it was a good piece on there. I thought it was very fair. Wasn't overly critical. It was to the point.
Which is what you can do with 3,500 words. You can present a balanced argument.
You can. And he made reference to the fact that Kevin Sinfield said in May that the club was rotten. Now, Kevin Sinfield has been in charge of Leeds ever since Brian McDermott got sacked, which was July.
Yeah.
So he's been in charge of it for 10 months, and it's rotten. Now, surely, if he's doing his job right, he should have got to the bottom of that, shouldn't he? And got rid of the rotten bits and cut them out.
I don't. Again, we talked about Dane Chisholm lobbing in a hand grenade and not fully explaining. I think if you say something is, but you don't say what it is specifically that is it on the field, off the field?
Yeah, but he's had time. He took over coaching the team. However he dresses it up, he was coaching the team, right? So whatever they're being taught should have changed at that moment in time.
Whatever it was. It is changing with some of the recruits that they're getting at the moment.
Hold on a second though, because some of the recruits that he's already got rid of. Lola here, moved on.
Did he sign Lola here?
The coach has come and gone.
Did he sign Lola here? I think Lola here was signed before he took over his job.
He wasn't signed in July last year.
He was signed very early last year. It was announced, and people don't get signed on the day it gets announced. They get signed before that. I think Lola here was somebody he inherited.
So you're blaming Hetherington then? Is that what you're doing?
I'm not blaming anybody. I don't know what he means.
But what's wrong? That's why I just want to pick up on it. What's wrong?
Until he explains
he's had a lot of time
means.
to turn this around. And let's
Although
be fair,
he did say right from the beginning it would take a lot of time.
It's going to take time because it's a salary cap area. You can't just go, right, you lot, you're sacked, I'm bringing this lot in. You can't do that. They've been doing Dale Winton's supermarket sweep this week, basically buying whoever they get their hands on.
Reece Martin's a good signing.
Not saying he's not a good signing, but they have been doing a lot of shopping. Why was that not done before? Why is it taking until now to
Phil,
do?
from my information down under, this Reece Martin's not quality. He's a fringe player at Catalans Bandstand Bulldogs, who are the worst team in NRL. Why are we signing him? Do we want better quality than that? He's a fringe player in the NRL.
I think they've looked, particularly when we saw him in the World Cup in 2017, I think his style is better suited to Super League than it is the NRL. You would have said the same about Adam Cuthbertson, that he couldn't get in the Newcastle team, but he has a game that is suited to over here. I think.
Why did Adam Cuthbertson play well yesterday? A player that Leeds have clearly tried to get rid of.
Partly because.
And yet he's still one of their best players.
Partly
He's been for a few weeks.
Partly because he's fit again, which he hasn't been.
Well, he wasn't playing before.
He wasn't fit.
He wasn't playing. He wasn't getting picked.
No, he wasn't fit. That's why he wasn't playing.
He wasn't injured, Phil.
He was. He's been carrying injuries most of the
year. Well, not when I spoke to him, he's not been injured. I can say that for nothing.
Exactly.
He hasn't been injured.
He rolled back the years yesterday.
I think they're very close to sorting out his future one way or another, and I think again that helps a player to, if he knows.
I would have made Cup as a captain.
Merrin's the right decision.
Merrin played well yesterday.
Why didn't they give Merrin the captaincy at the start of the season? I know they've had to have taken it off.
Yeah, but I don't think that's. You say he's coming back for an injury. We want to free him up. You know, he's a great player. He can add to his team in his own way. Here's Trent Merrin, he's the captain, and he played well yesterday.
I think as well, Merrin's taken a while because of some issues he had back home that he needed to go and sort out just to fully, commit to the team. And
Leeds had a good result yesterday, right? they're still in the mire at
Absolutely,
the bottom. They are
100%.
still in the mire at the bottom.
They could be.
A
born
good
next
team
week.
would have beaten Leeds yesterday. That's all I'm going to say about Catalan. A good team would have beaten Leeds.
Well, I was at the
They
game.
were all right.
Well, I was at the game yesterday.
You were at Castleford.
Who Leeds play on Friday night, Castleford, and the scoreline will tell you a good win, but quite simple. Sum it up with London, just a bad day at the office, and certainly for Jordan Abdul, just a bad day at the office. And Danny Ward did exactly right. Around about 10 minutes into the second half, because it was a shocker from the kid. He's a far better player than what he showed. Got the hook off there because he made 4 mistakes, and Castleford capitalised on that. But Castleford as well, I would imagine Darryl Powell, I didn't manage to hear his pressing after, because it takes ages now.
Yeah, it does.
Everybody was saying, where is he? Honestly, I thought, well, I think the traffic's gone for me now, because they normally wait about 45 minutes to win out anyway. He wasn't there, but I would imagine Darryl reached his performance, I would say maybe 6 out of 10. But from London's point of view, they're a far better side what they showed yesterday, so he's just sticking away, sticking the DVD in the bin and move on. But if Castleford don't improve on Friday night, I reckon Leeds, the way that they are, a bit of new confidence and the way that they against Catalans, Castle have it all to do on Friday night against Leeds. They will.
Peter is a Salford fan. He said Lola here, it's all right. Bit overweight, but it's
play?
all right. I don't know. I'll have to check.
Stand up.
Well, it stand off at Salford, was it? Right, okay.
And he says Sunday was the first time Cass clicked as a team and dominated the opposition for the majority of the game.
I thought I've only seen the highlights, and it's very dangerous just watching highlights. But it looked like there were a lot of soft tries. Meakin and McShane looked like they played well though. On the highlights.
Well, Matt Shane was on the bench, and rightly so, because he has been very ordinary.
250th career appearance yesterday.
Yeah,
well done.
and
And same for Leroy Cudger. So if there was a positive for Huddersfield, congratulations. Getting back on the field after 10 months. Bit rusty by his own admission, but 250 career appearances for him as well.
Yeah, Matt Shane as well, when he came on, it looks like he needs that kick up the backside, and he got a response from him, did Darryl Powell. Good service, beautiful setup, nice. I love to see it. Just a simple little run around, absolute peach of a pass to Mitch Clark, and is it Clarkson, is it Cass? Chris Clarkson, just absolutely hard and straight. Nice little drop off of Matt Meakin in the first half as well. So we get
Mitch Clark play?
I'm not so sure, to be honest.
You're not so sure? You were at the game. Did he play or not?
Yeah, I think he did. Anyway. Just have a look at League Express.
Wigan after him. They want him now, don't they? Now it's outside gone. Would you let him go?
No, I wouldn't. No, I wouldn't. No, they need him. They've got 10 games
more
to go.
than that, why would you give it to a team that's vying with you for a space in the top 5?
There, but no. Overall, I would imagine Gallagher would have said around about 6 out of 10.
No, he didn't.
But from London's performance, it was simple. Forget about it. You're better than what you showed yesterday, and move on.
Peter Matout here as well didn't make the 17.
I think Daryl's realised some of the players are off form, and Daryl's prepared to drop them, isn't he?
Which you got to do, aren't you?
Just to give him that
dropped,
kick,
or was he ill, or
just to give him that kick up the backside.
They've lost Junior Moores as well, haven't they?
Yes, that is a big blow.
Lengthy layoff after fracturing his hip.
Is that what he's done?
Yeah,
Fractured his hip.
Right.
Yeah, you know the phrase poachers turn gamekeepers?
Yeah.
This is from Nosy Parker's column in League Weekly. Business leaders and local celebs around Wigan will face a day behind bars when Warriors star Dan Sargison comes knocking next week as Lancashire police arrest 18 individuals. Usually it's Lancashire police arresting them Wigan squad.
Richie, if you keep going on, they'll be arresting us for.
But it's true.
You're not scheduled to do a game in Wigan.
He's got that one lined up all week.
We need to get the house of order.
On the opposite page is Tauta, you can't deny it.
It's true. All right.
He's not doing any commentaries at the DW.
Well, the member of the House from Outwood, West Yorkshire, please.
Yes.
Do a better job than one then.
Listen, we don't need to get any more police around here. We need them all still in Malaya. Listen, we don't need to get them out there. Keep them there.
People need to talk about George Burgess.
Yes.
What do you think about his...
Did you see that?
Have you not seen the gouge?
Eye gouge. Suspected eye gouge.
What,
he hasn't been
gouged?
He's
been gouged, or he's gouged?
No, he's gouged again.
Well, he's been gouged?
No, I think he did it.
Also, is it the same like in New Zealand?
Yeah.
Or is it bad, is it?
It looks awful, but
it didn't look
he hasn't, as far as I know, he hasn't been banned yet by the judiciary. He could get 10 games.
So he should. I've been gouged. It's awful. It's an awful feeling. Awful feeling. When I was at Balmain '85, Chris Mortimer, the Canterbury centre, played at Ulkiston Rovers. Yeah, I say gouged. He tried to gouge me, and just literally, it's 2 fingers at the top, just at the top of me eye. In them days, you know, they did it and they tried to get away with it. Do you know what I mean? But no, anything didn't get. Well, for me, if it's gouging, it's 12 months. Simple as that.
It didn't look
Simple
great.
as
Did
that.
it? Have you? Did you watch it live? Because they again slowed it down and it wasn't
Well,
nice.
your hand should be nowhere near your eyes.
It wasn't nice.
Should be anywhere near. Your eyes all up your nose, all in your mouth. Well, if you stick your fingers in your mouth, you bite them off, don't you? Huh?
I can't remember who asked earlier, but Kevin's mentioned him, so I might as well mention him. Luther Burrell, will he make his debut against London this weekend? How do you think he'll go? Obviously, now he's had a couple of weeks training with the Warrington Wolves ahead of his Super League debut.
Well, do you know what the great thing would have been if there was 18 football? He could have played like Jonathan Davison and all this sort of thing. Could have.
That's the.
Oh, jeez.
Robbie Farrer has excused him, who was the alleged victim.
Don't look good, does it? But
No. There we are.
You think
Oh,
this
no.
looks-
And he's coming
this
over
is the
the
internet.
top.
This Schoey. This is the internet. Well, welcome to the internet, lad.
We went to see it on CFAX.
Oh, by the we might buy you. We saw someone does CFAX
See what
t-shirts.
t-shirts, yeah.
Yeah, with
I
the
love
scores on. We might get you one. We
Yeah,
might treat you.
Yeah, I'll have one.
We might treat you.
I'll have one.
When you settle your curry bet, we might treat you.
Hold on, we're going after the show. You said you can't make
I
it.
can't make it. Apologies, I can't.
Well, I bought you a meal for 2 for Asda because you know you're still in love. You've plenty of romance with the missus still. So why don't you accept that? When I texted you this morning, you said no, we're going to a restaurant. So I've starved myself. I've been fasting
Well,
all
you
day.
you can have the meal for 2 when you get home.
You look like you've starved yourself.
You know, I've been.
Tell you what, if you
I thought you're my mate. Leeds have won. We should be happy.
Honestly,
I'm going to
it's
say,
honesty,
if
isn't
you,
it? We've
if you
always been
starve
open and
yourself,
honest.
do you think you could manage another 7 weeks?
Oh, cheers.
I thought we could go make the top 5 now.
But you're talking about Burrell. You know, it would be better if they'd been an A team. He could have got nicely in there. He'd have known what rugby league were all about because there'd have been some experienced players.
He has played. I mean, as a kid, he's
Yeah, but that's
knows
years
the
ago,
game.
Phil.
Yeah.
He'll
It's
know the
about, as you
basics.
say, it's dangerous to put him straight.
He'll know the basics.
The
of
interesting
game, but
thing
the physicality of it's going to be
Can
totally
Warrington afford to? Because having lost in the manner that they did this
Who we
week,
got
do
this
they
week,
need
Warrington?
to London? Do they need to get back on the horse and
Live
play?
on TalkSport too.
Has anyone Joe Reg to Rochdale at Widnes?
That might be an option.
What do we make of Widnes anyway?
Is going part-time necessarily a bad thing for teams
Well-
who can't afford to have a full-time squad?
I tweeted midweek. I admire Widnes is a club that has had too many lies behind the
Yes.
scenes, too many mistruths,
Yeah.
too many misinformation. They've come out and said, "Look, we're going part-time,"
And
they
the
got battered
explanation
yesterday.
was great. I mean, you know, it wasn't just we are going. They gave a long and detailed
Yeah.
explanation.
So do we applaud
which,
the
yeah, absolutely,
the
100%.
rationale?
Because I think as a fan, that's all you want.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I think
agree with
again,
that.
you know, without breaking over old coals, that's what Bradford needed to do. The first
Yeah.
and second time that they were in real trouble was if they'd have just said, "Look, don't just give us your money, but we're in trouble. We're going to hold our hands up. If we have to start again, we have to start again. But you know, this is what we need to do to survive, and we're going to take the honourable route. And we'd like you to come with us on the journey." I think fans would have done. I think they lost a half. I mean, again, I'm not having a go at Bradford, but everybody's saying that Bradford need to be a team that are back in Super League sooner rather than later. At the moment, the average crowd at Bradford is slightly less than 4,000.
Yeah.
It's not going to suddenly go to 14,000 in the days of Bullmania. How are you going to get back those 10,000 plus fans? Great if you play Leeds in a cup tie. It's a one-off game. The opposition bring 2,000 or 3,000 fans. Great event. But how do you rebuild trust? Well, I think what Widnes have done is started by saying, look, it's great we're still here. We've now got people involved who are passionate about the club. They're all from the town. Some of them are investors. Some of them are volunteers. But what we need to do is to survive, partly through central funding being withheld from us, we need to go part-time.
Well, they're going to go, as it stands, they're going to go from getting 1.7 million to getting 250
Yes,
grand
and I think what that's
in 18 months.
and that's basically preparing them for the loss of people like Anthony Gelling, who they clearly can't afford.
Well, some would
Maybe
argue
they shouldn't have signed in the first
they
place.
should have got him offloaded anyway. But you know, it's you know, the guy does funny videos and he's great. But is it getting millions of people
No.
watching Widnes? No,
No.
sadly, it's not. Is it?
So I admire them for the statement. I thought it was honest and realistic as to where they are as a club. I think their first issue though is to try and avoid relegation this year because
Well-
again you look at the table and they're one win off being relegated.
And you think that Dewsbury were denied in the last seconds at York, they would have had that win that would have lifted them above Widnes, and Widnes would have been 1 point and, as you said, one place above. I'm just going back to Burgess. He has been referred directly to the NRL judiciary and is expected to face a lengthy suspension when his case is heard on Tuesday. The match review committee met this morning and found the incident was too serious to be graded.
Which is what we've said about some cannonball tackles here.
Absolutely, yeah. Well, they do it right over there, don't they?
Don't have a grade. Just let them say no. You can have 10 months away from the sport.
You see, the great thing about what the Aussies do, and I don't want to follow in the Australians anyway, but what the Aussies do, and we should be following the Aussies, is quite simple. If that's shown live on television, it's no good for the image of the game whatsoever, and they stand by it. It's all about the image of the game. He should get 12 months for that.
Bad news for Felton Rovers. They've been fined £10,000 for the second RFL investigation into unacceptable language within a month, which means that people on the terraces aren't learning.
It also means that for their game against Leeds this week, they are segregating the fans. Which again is a very un-rugby league-like thing.
Wakefield had that trouble against Cass a few years ago because we had people in charge who thought, let's promote this game as a big rivalry, and then it didn't work out in the way they planned it to, and then they had to segregate Bellevue, which of course there's never any problems there these days anyway.
We mentioned the fixtures in League One where all the top teams are playing each other. In the Championship this week, all the bottom teams are playing each other. So Dewsbury, Barrow, Widnes, Rochdale.
Well, that Dewsbury-Barrow game, I'm not quite saying it's a relegation decider, but it's going to go a hell of a long way to deciding.
But Widnes have to beat Rochdale, don't they? Because one of those teams behind
I'm not being rude, right? But Rochdale, who can't even play at their own ground again.
That was bizarre. Why was the community game sanctioned? Why was it sanctioned at Mayfield?
Why was it so late? Because I can understand the 1895 Cup games last week had to move because
bookings
are taken at ground because it's a late thing. That's understandable. It looks silly, but it happens. Right, fair enough. But on a fixture that's been planned since the start of the season, it's not a game that's been.
Well, this is not the first time they've not been allowed to play on their own ground, is it? 'Cause it happened at the start of the season when they were told the ground was not fit, and yet the football team played on it the day after, and it was perfectly fine. So, I asked the question, right, and I'm throwing in the grenade here, right? Serious question: why should Rochdale Hornets get funding from the RFL when they don't on their own ground? They don't, to my knowledge, and people go back, they've created loads of players at Rochdale. Well, they ain't got an academy. They don't develop, not any youth teams. They don't develop any players. And yet Rochdale Mayfield, a ground that's fit enough apparently to play on in league in the Championship, they've got a thriving junior setup. They've got a good open age setup. Why are we not giving them some money and saying, thanks for bringing all these kids through, we appreciate what you're doing? They are, and this is why when people look at the situation around Manchester, right? What do Rochdale Hornets bring? Because the bottom of the league, they've won one game out of 18. They've won one game. They sacked their coach at the start of the season. Their reasons, and from what I understand, justifiable reasons. That's what they say. But he's gone, and they ain't got any better. The team, they're a joke. They're going to be in League One. Let's be fair. Unless they change the rules again, they're going to be in League One.
But is this why the debate about League One is that there are some sides in there that they would like in the Championship, but the ones that are left will not get funding and will effectively be super community teams?
Well, they wouldn't even be the biggest team in their own community, would they? That's my point.
But that's how it would sort itself out.
Yeah, well, you've got to look, right, if you withdrew funding from all of those teams, which would have a remote chance of survival, they would have no chance of surviving.
And I know that Rich is a big fan of West Wales Raiders. And
go on the Raiders.
We wanted them to be better this year.
It is a question: who's going to win the game first, Rochdale or the West Wales Raiders?
Well, they both have virtually the same points differential this year. They just are conceding loads. West Wales got an Australian coach. How has that benefited them? They brought in some overseas players. Why? When you're at the bottom of League One, isn't it?
They scored 110 points in 13 games. And Rochdale scored 268 in 18 games. It just annoys me. They need to have a look at that.
But what does the sport want? That's the question. Going forward, with a limited amount of money, how do you distribute it?
What the sport wants and what the people who have their vested interest in what the sport wants are completely different things, aren't they?
I just look at them. They don't get any fans going. I dare say there'll be more watch the amateur team. Game, There'll be more watch them when they've got a big game on.
But it's this, we've had Salford fans moaning about Jackson Hastings potentially going to Wigan or whatever, and how can we have a competition when teams are always going to buy up the better talent? And the point has been made to them: you ain't got enough fans to justify this. And Salford are the same position, Wakefield are in the same position. You know, you've only got a finite budget because more fans won't come through the gate. There was 4,800 there on Friday. I know Wakefield have been playing rubbish, but it's a big game. It's a Friday night. Weather was all right. You think people would come down and
there was
get
a lot
behind
of,
the
there
lads?
was a lot of community interaction. 150 kids on the pitch. Brian McDermott was there.
Was he?
Yeah,
Watching his son.
I thought it was him. I walked past him and I thought, it's Brian McDermott.
Didn't stay for the main game. But he
I saw there
watched
was
his
a
son.
survey. There's not enough tourist attractions in Wakefield, apparently.
We've got
It's got even
loads.
less than Bradford.
We've got the Hepworth Gallery.
You've got a big Sainsbury's near the
Yeah.
centre.
Got two Sainsbury's. Bellevue, speaking of film.
Nostell Priory.
A decent Witherspoons.
Leeds or claims everything that's near Leeds.
How would you know
Oh, Chapel on the Bridge.
Yeah.
There's 3 in the
Yeah,
country.
got some car parks. Riding Centre was the best shopping centre in Europe in 1983.
that? Was it?
Yeah, it did some research when I worked in local radio.
There's a lovely pie shop as well. Lovely pie shop.
So seriously, let's go back to Rochdale. What
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah,
What
well, the big
is it
thing-
not time now? They were just said, look, enough's
Big
enough.
Mhm.
You know, we keep talking on about what
Well,
Super League
do-
going to look
doesn't
like.
it
What's
go-
the Championship?
Doesn't it
gonna
go
look
back
like?
to what you said, that there is a guy at Newcastle who has X million to invest, who has already shown with some of the players that he's bought and the coaching staff that he's bought in that he's serious about making a statement in a new market for fans, potential players.
We were there when there were 4,000 there watching Bradford.
And
It was
a,
a great
and a
atmosphere.
venue that the
Great
sport
atmosphere.
likes because
Yeah.
we're opening a World Cup there.
Yeah.
So how does that, and them being in the division below, relate to Rochdale clinging on in the Championship? I think that's take away the names of the teams and the history of the teams as a business-based proposition, which is sport is these days, whether we like it or not. How do you manage to get to the point where the sport itself is regenerating and is healthy? And at the moment, it isn't. There are too many questions.
Go back to Widnes and the fact that they've been denied money for whatever reason from the parachute payment and or academy, whatever. I don't understand. I've not looked into it, so I don't understand why. But people are now saying Widnes's ills lay at the door of the RFL or Super League or whatever. The problem with all these clubs, mine included in the past, maybe in the future, who knows, they all rely on one person, generally, who's got some money. And that money doesn't last forever. And there's no success, there's no planning and building these businesses to be sustainable. Widnes got to sign Anthony Gelling last season for this year, when they knew they were going down, probably. But they still want to sign him. And I know new people involved there now. That's not the RFL's fault. The RFL decided to deny the registration of players at clubs. And the fans have been moaning about that as well. The clubs are responsible for their own situations. If Widnes can't afford to be a full-time team, then they can't afford to be a full-time team. Brantford, someone said, why are you talking about Brantford? Because they're the obvious bloody comparison, because they're the last one off the rank, aren't they? They're the last big Super League team who weren't managed well financially, went down, and will be what they will be. Swinton, Dewsbury, Barrow, Rochdale, Batley, all these teams, the bottom end of the Championship.
But
they all
some
have
of
to cut
those
their
teams-
some of those
some of
teams
those
cut their
teams-
cloth accordingly.
Yeah,
don't
but
they?
some of those teams at the bottom of the thing, their aim is to be next to bottom in the Championship so that they can keep getting the handouts. They're not offering anything to
No.
the sport. I'm sorry, but they're not.
And I think
And
that,
as a sport, we need to say now,
Yeah.
enough's enough.
but it
Enough's enough.
goes back to a debate we've had for 2 or 3 years about how do you integrate a full-time and a part-time sport. I think part of what you do is institute the 1895 Cup. You give it, if Lee and or Sheffield and or Batley and or Widnes get to Wembley, that's a financial as well as a playing lifeline. And that's how you keep these clubs sustained. You don't necessarily have to be in Super League. I look at Batley winning the Northern Rail Cup, and I think we mentioned it on several occasions. That was the most magnificent day. They got almost 10,000 to Blackpool. A lot of ex-supporters donned the shirt.
Yeah.
They had a magnificent victory. They brought a cup back to the town. They had their open-top bus tour. They pocketed the money to keep the club sustainable and going like they did when they made the eights. They didn't have any pretension to ever be something that they couldn't be. Kevin Nicholas, who I think is widely regarded as one of the more prudent chairmen in that division, reinvested it in the club, not going out and signing Anthony Gellings. Didn't say I ever want to be in Super League because he realised that perhaps with 2,500 average attendance and a town where the demographic had changed from when
Yeah,
Batley
of course
were
it
a
has.
great club.
Yeah, of course it has.
You become what you can be, and if you can win trophies whilst being the best part-time club, there's absolutely nothing wrong with
Well,
that.
here's the point, right? You take the top 4 out of the Championship. I'm not bothered who's the 4 is. You take the 4 biggest clubs out of there that spend the most money. Take them out, and Batley will be near the top of that
Absolutely.
division year in, year out, because they're a well-run club. They recruit well. They obviously do things right.
And they
But
could
there's
get
some
to
clubs
Wembley,
in
it's
that
brilliant.
division that are just in it for the handouts. You know, we criticise people in real life for the benefit culture, if you like. Well, are they not the same? The rugby league equivalent. The teams at the bottom just going, give me some money, because we ain't got any money to exist.
Well,
and we
and
don't
if
have any
you,
money,
if,
we
you,
won't
if
exist.
you don't give me that money, we won't survive. But
Yeah,
then,
well, so what? Yeah, so what? I think we're at the point where, as a game, and this is a chat that needs to happen.
But I think
the game
we
needs
need
to
to
be.
look at the National Conference League as well, and look at some of the clubs in there that would have aspirations to be semi-professional.
But this is what I've said before,
So
Phil.
I
You
think-
make it a pyramid, and then what happens is the teams that are good and well run, like your
Or
part
have
sides,
investors.
they could be good enough to
Yeah.
play in League One.
I mean, if-
it doesn't
if-
mean they have to spend loads of money playing in League One.
if
The
Park-
amateur teams, as we've seen in the Cup at the start of the year, they can play and they
Absolutely.
can compete.
If Parkside were in what is now League One, then I think you'd find local investors who would want to make that club the best it could be, and it might be that they would be competitive with Hunslet. And the big derby would be Hunslet and Hunslet Park. There's nothing wrong with that. But that doesn't have to be Super League either.
No.
Look down the road, right? At Headingley Stadium.
What, to Bramley?
Bramley, yeah, that is it. At Headingley Stadium, where Emerald Headingley, where they have had to completely rejig Yorkshire Carnegie because there's not enough people interested in going to watching that justifies the cost spent on them. And that's the same for all these clubs.
Yeah. Needs to be. There needs to be. You know, instead of telling us how great, you know, people are watching this game, they're watching that game. There needs to be a
Yeah.
reality,
Well, that's
a
the thing.
real reality
Right.
check about.
Well, I
football.
think there's one other issue to add into all of this as well, and that's participation, which we've spoken a lot about. How are you going to get more and more people involved in the sport? Well, I think if you elevate the what now are the community clubs, you will get more people wanting to see how good they can be by playing in a division slightly higher. I think the other thing is we've only got about 400 full-time professional players. Those 400 all need to be playing in the elite competition. So you look at the likes of who Toronto have signed at the moment, and to have most of the players that are in their team not playing in Super League, when we haven't got an oversupply of quality players.
No, I agree.
When you look at, you know, maybe some of the players that are playing for Toulouse at the moment that would easily step into Super League. I think there's a couple of guys playing for Toulouse that would have looked fantastic in that Catalan team that we watched yesterday. You know, you look at who Lee are now re-signing and in some ways recycling. Some of those are Super League players in the making, or could still be.
But what
We
happens
have to
next year,
concentrate.
though, when the money again, it's just a cycle of
Exactly.
chasing the dream,
Yes.
missing out, chase it, miss out, chase it, get there, miss out. It's just a cycle of doom.
We have to decide what we want.
Exactly.
So-
Right. Anyway, let's
I
go.
was
Go
going
on.
to say 44,000 people did watch Keighley versus London Scollars the other week. How many people were actually in the ground? And they were just our people. There's no one new watching.
All right. Right. We'll do the
Whereas Joe
predictions.
Weston's kneecap had everybody. won.
Yeah. Wet the legend up. He's on. Salford
I think you
against
agree.
Huddersfield.
You'd like to see Hunslet Park signed in League One.
Of course I would. Yeah.
Salford against Huddersfield on Thursday night. Huddersfield on the slide, but Salford without Robert Louis. Can they get their first win without Louis?
Yes, I think they can as well, just because of how bad Huddersfield are, to be honest with you. I just can't see how they can get themselves out of this rut. They will be getting further down that slide with this weekend. Salford, yeah, they won the response. Big loss, Robert Louis. Guess what? The ones with the best performance against Wigan. But they'll be looking to hit back, and I think the Red Devils will win this quite easily. Just nothing there for Huddersfield, and I'm going Salford by 14.
I think we look at a fixture every week and say it might not be top versus second, but it has more significance. I think last week it was Wakefield and Huddersfield, and I think also Leeds and Catalan. That we felt that if a team's going to turn a season round, there's a certain fixture that they have to win. Huddersfield have to win this fixture because they've been so abject in the last 3 weeks. I think there was some disruption at Salford last week with Louis leaving and Lollahea coming in now. They've announced that Griffin's leaving, which I think was no secret either.
Yeah, I think Ian Watson basically confirmed that the other week,
Yeah,
didn't he?
and I think Salford are now in the market to perhaps, firm up with some of the players that they're going to go for. I think the Jackson Hastings story will come out sooner rather than later. And again, nobody's felt that he would be at Salford next year. It's almost like Salford are playing without pressure, but if they win, they're at that 20-point threshold, and I think they can breathe easy. They can plan for next year. They know they're in Super League. I don't think there's any doubt they will be. And they can actually look at maybe a top 5 spot.
Well, just to put it into context, we're talking about Huddersfield in crisis. If they beat Salford, they're 1 win behind.
Exactly. So this is a must-win for Huddersfield, but I just didn't see anything last Friday that would convince me that in a week they could turn that terrible form round. So I am going to go Salford. I think the Salford fans will really get behind the team, as they always do. Salford by 10.
Got to go for Salford as well. Having seen Huddersfield in the flesh last week, boy oh boy, as Schoey would say, they're not very good, are they? Salford are obviously 2 wins better than them on the league table, and seem to have played okay. They lost to Wigan, who are in form. No, I'll accept that. We think Wigan anyway, so that goes with the narrative. Salford will win. I don't know what happens to Huddersfield. Salford by 12.
I think Salford have won their last 3 at home. Certainly beat Cass, beat Wakey. I think they've registered another win as well. I think it is 3 on the spin. For them, Huddersfield need a win, like Wakey needed a win last week, and I'm not sure they've got it. I think Salford's a really tough place to go, and I think when Salford fancy it, Salford generally win, and I don't see where the guts are in this team. I don't see who, like you said earlier, who's going to stand up and win the game for Huddersfield. I can't say. I want them to. I like Simon Wolford. I think he's a breath of fresh air. He's honest. He doesn't hide. But I like Ian Watson. I think he's doing a great job, and I think at the minute they've got that everyone's writing us off mentality, and we're going to stick it up, yeah. And I think that'll get Salford over the line. I really do fear now for Huddersfield. I mean that genuinely. I think if they don't get a win, you can't. In a big game, you can't back them. And I think if Gaskell doesn't show up this week again, they aren't going to win. I'm going to go Salford by 14. I think they'll win quite easily.
The big mistake for Huddersfield was that they didn't replace Ryan Hinchcliffe with a player like
him. Yeah, you talk about culture and all this.
There isn't somebody there who you just think, follow him and we'll be all right.
Yeah. So out of their 14 points, by the way, Huddersfield, 8 of their points have been won against Hull KR and London. 3 of those games were at home. So they've picked up 6 points against teams above them all season in 16 games.
You can't see that.
That's rubbish.
Final thing on Salford, a bit harsh from our colleague Joe Mills on Wish FM. He referred to Tuilola Hayes as a second-hand Jordan Tansey on the radio the other night. It's a bit harsh.
It is. Right, let's move on. Friday, the big one. It's Castleford against Leeds.
Yeah, Castleford, well, they got plenty of points this weekend against London, but London, it just wasn't. It was a game where I say forget about it, move on. They were far better than what they showed London, to be honest with you. Cass wasn't really convinced, if I'm honest, and I'm sure Delpal again knows, and as I mentioned before, I would have given us a team performance, maybe 6 out of 10. Leeds, well, they're buying every Tom, Dick and Harry to making sure that they're surviving from there, looking to get reaction from Louis, whether the kid from Canterbury plays this week, we will see from there, but there just seems a bit of a spring in the step from Leeds. And decent win against Catalans, even though the Catalans are nowhere near where they should be at this moment in time. Not convinced with Cass. I'm sticking with Leeds. And I'm going with Leeds to win by 10.
That worries me, because he went with Catalan last week.
Phil, I thought we were supposed to be mates.
I think the thing about Leeds, and you touched on it, it wasn't a vintage performance against the Dragons. The impressive thing was that they finished the game strongly, which they haven't done this year. When they've been put under pressure late on in games, they have capitulated, but they didn't this week. I'm still not sure that Leeds are ready to beat a really good team. I just don't know how good Castleford are at the moment. I think
that's that good, Phil.
The fact that they didn't score in the last 20 minutes against London when they were so far ahead, again, I think that would have annoyed Darryl Powell a little bit, that they didn't put their foot on the throat. I still think Cass will have too much at the Jungle. Leeds have got a game against Hull KR the following week, which I think will go a long way to determine if they can climb away from the other teams on 14 points. I'll go Cass by 4, but I think that's an improvement for Leeds.
I'm going to go Cass as well. I was tempted by Leeds, but then I've just talked myself out of it completely, which is ridiculous when I see the number I've gone with by Cass. I think it was an important result for them yesterday against London. Shake a few of the cobwebs off. They're better on paper than Leeds. They should beat Leeds. They beat them once. They didn't beat them the other time. But in the Clash Part 3...
is that what it's building?
I believe so. Yeah.
Is there a trophy?
Well, probably. Don't know what the trophy would
Alan
be.
Hardesty.
Darryl Powell
I
trophy.
don't think Leeds are going to win this year. It's a wooden spoonful.
Winners get Darryl Powell next year. Cast by 18.
Oof! Wow.
I know. I don't know.
Yeah. I think Leeds were better than that. They weren't great on Sunday. They were all right. I said in the build up to it when I predicted Leeds would win that you've got to be lucky sometimes with the fixtures, and they were lucky. Played Catalans. Anyone would have beaten Catalans on Sunday, and I think it's important you don't go too far into lucky. But there were improvements, and with you on that, they were better, but they still were average. I haven't seen Cass. I've worried about Cass. I've said to you, I think they're on a downward spiral. But I think for a Cass team that their aspirations are slipping through the fingers, one thing they'll never get tired of is beating Leeds. And I think this is a perfect fixture for Cass this week. I thought they could have slipped up against London. They didn't. They won quite convincingly. Whatever the scoreline, they won convincingly. And I think they'll win this week. But I think it'll be tight. I think Leeds with Louis. I think Louis had a bit of success against Cass at Salford. I'm going to go Cass by 4. Right. Okay. Moving on. Hull St Helens.
Well, for Hull to win this game, they've got to make sure they can not just compete with this St Helens pack, but they've got to compete for the full 80 minutes because when the big guys come off the bench, they make an impact. But then when the big Thompson and Walmsley back on for the last 25 minutes, that's when even more purpose and impact with them two big guys. They were certainly the best two front rowers in the game, without a shadow of a doubt. Certainly in Super League from there. Justin Holbrook doesn't look as though he's going to be resting players. The players, they want to be turning out week in and week out. They're in good form. I just don't think the whole forwards can handle St Helens, and I think that's where it's going to be won. And the creativity of Farge there at half-back, and when Johnny Lomax in great form, the speed we've got in the back line from there. It'll be a good game. I think they'll be competitive, but I think the St Helens quality will just get the better of the black and whites, and I'll go St Helens by 12.
Bearing in mind that we're talking about this before we know what the squads are, we don't know if Albert Kelly will be back for Hull. That will make a big difference. I don't know whether Aaron Smith will be playing for Saints, because obviously he went to hospital. He's fine, but I don't know whether that means that he won't be able to play this week. And without Roby and Smith, I don't know who they will play at hooker.
Well, it's a gamble they don't have to take.
Yeah.
There's bigger games ahead.
Exactly.
I'm not being rude. They're 8 points clear at the top.
Yeah.
This is not. They don't have to win this week.
Exactly, and I think that might play into Hull's hands a little bit on the back of what was a really disappointing performance at Rovers. And I think, yes, short turnaround, get all of that, but I think Lee Radford was just upset that his team didn't play, made too many mistakes. So I think being at home, putting down a marker in the build-up to this semi-final that they've got against Warrington, which is clearly the biggest game in Hull's calendar that's coming up. The playoffs will take care of themselves because they're in it, and what shape they're in when they come round will determine how far they go in that. But I think Lee Radford will get a response from his team, and as you say, this isn't a game that St Helens need to win, so I'll go Hull by 6.
It's bizarre. I'm going to say they've only lost 2 all season. But Hull, if they lose this week, and having thrown away the opportunity to pick up 2 points last week because the form goes out the window and all that blah blah blah, they could get dragged back in to this race into the top 5 because Castleford, Wigan and Catalans are all at home this weekend. Having said that, I'm going with Saints, and I'm going to go for the same number as Schoey. I'm going to go for Saints by 12.
Okay. I'm going to go Hull. I think Hull will win. I think this is a Hull team that when they want to play, they turn up, they play. Last week, a bit of an anomaly against that. Saints don't have to win. So I think Saints, for the record, I wanted to win last week, and they went and won. This is a tough time. I think this is a rehearsal, by the way, of the cup final, and they will meet as well on the 13th of September in Super League. So this could be the first of 4 meetings to the end of the season. Once in the cup, once in the playoffs, and twice in the league. They could meet
Nonsense.
4 times in the next 3 months.
Nonsense.
That could happen. I think Hull at home, they have to bounce back from last week. As Rich said, you look at that league table and the teams immediately behind them could feasibly all win this weekend. All 4 of them. Could be an important game. I think Hull win. I think Hull will win by 7. 7. There you go. Right, let's crack on. Wigan against Hull Kingston Rovers. This game is live on TalkSport 2. The legend and I will be there. What are you making of it?
Well, the quiet achievers at this moment in time, Wigan Warriors, are going nicely and quiet about the business from there, but the opposition, they're making some noises. Since Tony Smith has gone there now, just got beaten by Wigan at KCOM a couple of weeks ago from there. All right, London, they should have maybe won that game at London, great fight back, but brilliant performance against the Black and Whites. I know we're going to go about the business quietly and playing pretty well, but I just feel as though the way he's turning it around, Tony Smith, they'll go there and express themselves, they'll maybe make it so there's plenty of ball movement. I think there could be a surprise here on Friday night. I do. And the confidence what they're playing, they won't get overawed. I'm going for Hull Kingston Rovers to turn Wigan over. And I'm going for Hull KR. 7!
I don't think Tony Smith is the kind of bloke that looks at the fixture list and sees who's coming next. I think he goes 100% in every game that he's playing. So the fact that he's got a massive game against Leeds the following Friday, I don't think will come into his thinking. But this week isn't the big game, next week is. I think there's something settled about Wigan at the moment. They're still not scoring enough points, and that will be an issue. But I think that comes on the back of the kind of defence that Adrian Lam has instilled in his team. And I think that's the problem for Hull KR, that if they come up against a really good defensive team, they will struggle to score some points. There was all the emotion of the new players arriving, it being a derby fixture last week. This is a different kettle of fish going to Wigan. I think it will be close. Obviously, might be a drop goal in it. We've seen that before between these two teams. There'll be no fear for Hull KR, but I just don't think they've got the arsenal to win at Wigan at the moment. They're a work in progress. They're getting better, so I'm going to go Wigan by 4.
Wigan and Cass could both win on Friday. Depending on what the point difference situation is, Wigan could go 4th in the table, which is ridiculous when you think about it. I think they'll have a chance of going 4th because I think they'll beat Hull Kingston Rovers. I think they'll just have too much for them. There's a good chance the bottom 4 could all remain exactly where they are at the end of the weekend. I'm going Wigan by 8.
My head says Wigan have got to win this game, and the form they're in, they should win this game. But I'm with Gary. I think Hull KR won't be thinking, we've got to win next week. They'll be thinking, if we win this week, we'll jump above everyone, so we'll win this week. And I think having Garbutt and Masson again, we're speculating on what the team will be. Parcell instantly adds a threat to them. I think they'll go out and play. They'll throw a lot of shape at thing. They only lost by a point when a month ago.
Yeah.
And I don't know Wigan had, and Wigan might have had a few missing themselves. Look at the team now. There are 5 or 6 different players in it. I'll take a chance. Look, I thoroughly expect Wigan to win, but I'm going to say Hull KR are going to win. It'll be tight though. I'm going to Hull KR by 2. Right, quickly moving on. We will go to Saturday. Catalans against Wakefield. Scorchio, the Dragons, getting the old suntan lotion out those Wakey lads.
Well, they'll need it, won't they? I guess if it's pretty warm. But Wakefield wanted a confidence booster last week, and they got it against a very, very poor Huddersfield side. And it's quite simple for me for the Dragons. And I hope Steve McNamara's listening, because I don't want to tell him his job. No, I don't. But Steve, you're a smart coach, and you've got to do it. You've got to do it, son, because if you don't, you're going to get beat this weekend. And you've got to drop Matty Smith. You've got to leave Matty Smith out and let the guys who realistically are better than what he is take charge, because the players around him are not responding. It's no purpose for you whatsoever. But if Matty Smith plays for the Catalan Dragons, Wakefield Trinity win. Wakefield win if Matty Smith plays, and Wakefield win by 8.
I think we'd need to know if Michael McAloram's back for the Dragons, because they clearly missed his direction out of dummy half this week. I have a feeling that it's crunch time at home for the Dragons, that because of the really poor results they've had and their last home game being a defeat by 50, that the very least that will be expected of them is winning the home games that they've got less. I think they will get a reaction. I have a feeling that if the temperatures are as they have been this last week, that is going to be really tough for Wakefield. To go into a 45 degree furnace is going to be difficult against a team that's trained in that. even though McNamara said they've changed the training times to not it being the heat of the day. It's almost as if the Dragons are going to do anything this year, they've got to get back in the 5 if they can this week. So I'm going to go Catalan by 10.
I'm deciding with Wakefield. This is a very difficult one, regardless, because of everything that's been mentioned. Catalans bang out of form. Wakefield were out of form until they won, but they only beat a poor Huddersfield. So I keep saying about all these games. Leeds beat a poor Catalans. Wakefield beat a poor Huddersfield. How do you take what happened last week into this week? But I'm still going to take Wakefield. But I think it'd be very narrow, very close. David Fafita drop goal. Wakefield by 1.
From 40 metres.
I'm going Wakey. I can't have Catalan. What I saw yesterday was gutless. I'm sorry, it was gutless. I think you take Sam Tompkins out of that team, there was nothing there to like. Nothing there to like at all. Well, actually, that's harsh. Thought Mead went well.
But he doesn't get any service.
You don't get any service, so you can have the best centres in the world. This is what happened at Leeds. You're alright having Callum Watkins Sunday. If you don't pass him the ball, you don't score any tries. So Wakefield shackles off, won last week, all important win, go away. I'd say they'll treat it as a bit of a, come on boys, let's go get the win, we'll have a good time. They're going for a few days by all accounts. I think they'll win. I think the Dragons have gone. I think they've gone at the game. And I think the pressure is building on Steve McNamara. He said he thought his team played well the other day. I can assure you his chairman wouldn't agree with him. I'm going Wakefield by 8. And the last game of the weekend sees London take on Warrington. This game is also live on TalkSport 2 on Saturday. London against Warrington Legend.
Well, the two coaches will want the response from the performances what they had this weekend. All right, Stevie Price may not be too despondent because St Helens were far superior, to be honest with you there. But yeah, Danny Ward will want the response from his side because there was just nothing there against Castleford. But put that in the bin. We'll move on. Warrington, I just feel as though they'll have a little bit too much class. I want the response. Price he'll get. I don't think it'll be too easy for Warrington because, as I say, London did turn up. Wardy want the response, but I've got to go with quality, and that's Warrington, and I'll go Warrington by 12.
Yeah, I think again Steve Price will be saying to his guys, if you're going to do anything this year, you've got to put form on the board. I suspect that London are just in a tiny little bit of a dip at the moment. They had 3 big wins that weren't just great wins on the field, they were emotionally draining off the field, and I think you quite rightly highlighted Jordan Abdul, who obviously in the game against Hull KR was outstanding, but you've got to be able to back it. So it's what you always say, it's consistency, isn't it? You've got to do it week in, week out. I just think this is a game that London probably wouldn't want Warrington to have lost last week because they know there's going to be a backlash. I think Warrington will have too many big guns, score too many points. Warrington by 12.
Yeah, Warrington as well. As I mentioned with Hull, they can get dragged back into that battle for a place in the top 5 because they didn't take advantage last week and they could have closed the gap on Warrington and they didn't. Warrington couldn't close the gap on St Helens here. Not that it matters, they've got second pretty much sewn up I think now. And London are what they are. Warrington by 18.
Head says Warrington, Hart says London. Interesting, what team does he pick? Will he leave an Austin out? Dare he leave Austin out? On the artificial surface. On the artificial surface.
Good point.
Don't know. It's got to be. You mentioned Noah Ratchford. You mentioned that earlier in the show. Nick Patton's not going to get this team around the field on his own. No. I think that's an interesting one. Who might not play? No, Chris Hill as well. He's out. I've got an awful feeling. I think London need a win in the next 3 weeks or they're down. They've got a Hull the week after. I'll go London by 4. I think even internally they'll think this is a game they've got to target. And let's be fair, St Helens have gone there and lost. Wigan have gone there and lost. There's some other big teams have gone there and lost. They can do it. I'll go London by 4.
Interesting again, no Super League on Sunday.
No.
We mentioned this time
That's
and again.
quite a lot in the next few weeks as well, by the way.
And yet we had a game on Sunday at Headingley, which is traditionally not a Sunday venue. 12,500.
Great atmosphere.
It was.
Great atmosphere. Such a shame about the result. Did I say that out loud?
No.
No, I didn't. No, I didn't think I did.
You just thought it.
Thanks to Legend. He's 62 today. Will we still love him when he's 64? Who knows? We'll hopefully find out in 2 years. And you better be good at golf on Friday. No knobbing it off the first tee.
I can't guarantee that. I can't guarantee that.
Thanks to Phil as ever. Thanks to Richard Shawright. And thanks to you for downloading the podcast. Share, like, subscribe, do all the above. Keep going, and we'll see you next week.
Make us big in Greece.
Big in Greece?
Well, they knew, innit? Play rugby league in Greece.